suddenly, 2 leaders of the dead rotten reptiles appeared. We fell into their trap. The self-exploded crabs were carrying out their orders. They even know how to design a scheme against us. Just then, the ground began to shake violently, and a rumbling sound followed. Soon after, a massive creature with 9 heads appeared. It was the king of the dead rotten reptiles, Shangyu. It possesses the bloodline of the ancient beast Shangyu recorded in the classic of mountains and seas, measuring 150 meters in length and weighing 1140 tons. King of the dead rotten reptiles, Shangyu, how come you are here? It kept spewing green smoke outward, and a large amount of fog surrounded us. I quickly warned Ancient Ape and Wolverine, is this fog poisonous? Everyone, hold your breath. But the next second, I suddenly turned into a human form, and I was in a small alley. 3 figures were slowly approaching me. How dare you report us to the teacher? You will pay for this. In the blink of an eye, I had been beaten and begging them to stop. Lin Shen, you're such a coward. You only deserve to lick my shoes. Come on, teach him a lesson. I'll shoot a video. Alright, let's continue. With my screams, I suddenly woke up, but at that moment, Wolverine and Ancient Ape had a blank expression, seemingly still not awake. It turns out this gas could induce a hallucination. I yelled, Ape sister, Mr. Wolverine, wake up, wake up. Under my shouting, they finally snapped out of the illusion. I analyzed the situation for them. With the king of the dead rotten reptiles and his 2 sons appearing at the same time, we simply couldn't match them. The king of the dead rotten reptiles is very strong. The only way to break through is to start with his 2 sons. But just then, tears started streaming down Ancient Ape's cheeks. Dragon brother, I just saw my parents in the illusion. They were covered in green poison, looking miserable. I quickly comforted Ancient Ape. We need to stay calm now, and when we are strong in the future, we will seek revenge. Just then, the king of the dead rotten reptiles slowly said, Ancient Ape, you and that thunder dragon killed so many of my kids, and now you just want to leave? I believe you will like this gift. Saying this, it spat out 2 white objects from its mouth, rolling to the feet of Ancient Ape and me. Unexpectedly, these turned out to be 2 chilling skulls, and the skulls were indeed those of Ancient Ape's missing parents. At that moment, it was as if thunder struck in Ancient Ape's mind. She trembled and knelt down, extending her trembling hands to touch her parents. Just then, the king of the dead rotten reptiles suddenly spewed out 2 balls of poison. I shouted, Ape sister, be careful, and pulled her back. The 2 skulls were instantly shattered. Seeing this scene, tears streamed down Ancient Ape's face. Ancient Ape screamed, Dad, Mom. The next moment, she could no longer contain her emotions, wildly beating her chest, venting her anger. I will kill you. Saying this, she rushed towards the king of the dead rotten reptiles. Ape sister, don't go. You're no match for him. But at that time, Ancient Ape couldn't hear it and directly jumped towards the king of the dead rotten reptiles. She pounded on one of its heads with her fists, but this did no damage to the king of the dead rotten reptiles, and instead, she was thrown flying by a blow from its head. Is that all you can do, Ancient Ape? The other 2 heads took the opportunity to bite her arms. Ancient Ape, let me help you reunite with your parents. Seeing Ancient Ape in danger, Wolverine and I quickly stepped forward, ready to rescue Ancient Ape. Just then, Blade and Bomb rushed over, standing in our way. Lin Shen, I'll hold them off. You go save Ape sister. Mr. Wolverine, don't be reckless. We're no match for them right now. Going there is just a death sentence. Lin Shen, what do you mean? Are you going to see Ape sister die? If you won't go, I will. Saying this, Wolverine charged forward with his sword. With a clang, Blade intercepted in front, catching Wolverine's attack, then suddenly exerted force, flinging Wolverine away. He used the momentum to do a 360-degree spin in the air and charged towards the king of the dead rotten reptiles. However, the king of the dead rotten reptiles didn't even take him seriously and snorted coldly, Wolverine, how dare you use your blade on me? Subsequently, it charged headfirst into Wolverine. With a bang, Wolverine's slender body was directly struck, causing him to spit out blood and momentarily roll his eyes back, losing consciousness, obviously severely injured. Without waiting for him to regain consciousness, the king of the dead rotten reptiles bit into his lower half. How pitiful. Now you've become such a weakling. Hearing Wolverine's cries at this time, I was furious and shouted, Bastard, let Mr. Wolverine go. I rushed forward to tear the king of the dead rotten reptiles apart. Just then, Blade suddenly appeared under my feet, slashing me, and blood splattered everywhere. Enduring the pain, I bit into it. Get out of my way. Subsequently, electric arcs surged over my body, gathering energy, and I unleashed a burst breath attack at the king of the dead rotten reptiles, which was biting Wolverine. With a boom, a loud sound directly hit the head of the king of the dead rotten reptiles, causing it to immediately release Wolverine. I gathered energy again, releasing a second and then a third burst breath. The 2 burst breaths hit the 2 heads biting Ancient Ape, and I managed to save her. The continuous bursts nearly drained my strength. Even so, I still forced my body to move, trying to buy time for Ancient Ape and Wolverine to retreat. I suddenly exerted my strength, charging at the king of the dead rotten reptiles. Ape sister, Mr. Wolverine, I'll hold this big guy off. You're injured. Retreat first. I leaped high, launching a fierce attack on the king of the dead rotten reptiles. Damn bastard, you want to tear Ape sister apart? Let me crush you first. I bit directly into one of its heads, causing the creature to howl in pain. Meanwhile, another head attacked me, biting into my back, causing me to break into a cold sweat and blood to splatter. Ancient Ape and Wolverine saw this scene and cried out, "Dragon brother, Lin Shin!" Just then, another head of the king of the dead rotten reptiles emitted a green light, and the next second, a green beam sprayed at me. Ancient Ape hurriedly warned, "Watch out," but I was bitten and couldn't dodge. Instantly, the venom breath hit me squarely, causing me to spit out blood and uncontrollably fly backwards. With a boom, I heavily slammed into the ground and slid several meters. "Dragon brother!" As Ancient Ape yelled, she ran towards me. "Dragon brother, wake up, wake up!" At this moment, I had completely lost consciousness. Just then, under the command of the king of the dead rotten reptiles, a large number of dead rotten reptiles charged towards us. At this critical moment, a huge shadow appeared in the sky. The Deathlark arrived just in time. "Losers, look at you, pitiful things. Dead rotten reptiles king, how dare you steal my things? That's unforgivable." She scattered countless glowing feathers, and with a clear phoenix cry, a hurricane swirled around her body. She directly used her strongest skill, Death Hurricane. Following another phoenix cry, countless Dimorphodon pterosaurs suddenly appeared behind her. "Quickly take these three away and leave this place." Saying this, she unleashed the Death Hurricane on the king of the dead rotten reptiles. The hurricane instantly swept up sand and stones, smashing them along with the surrounding trees at the king of the dead rotten reptiles. Seeing the power of the hurricane, even it, possessing the bloodline of Shangyu, had to temporarily avoid its edge, not daring to underestimate it. While Blade and Bomb were tied up by the Dimorphodon pterosaurs and couldn't escape, several ancient god pterosaurs quickly came to our side, grabbed our arms, and flew away into the distance. At this time, the Deathlark and the king of the dead rotten reptiles were engaged in a fierce battle. "Loser, how dare you come back here again? You think you can be the hero?" The Deathlark coldly snorted in response. Unexpectedly, the dignified king of the dead rotten reptiles has also started using dirty tricks. Truly disgraceful. In the midst of the battle, the king of the dead rotten reptiles suddenly looked in my direction and was immediately shocked. Seeing the ancient god pterosaurs taking us away, it cursed, "Damn crickets." Subsequently, it began to gather green energy in its mouth and spewed a venom breath in our direction. The venom breath grazed Ancient Ape's body and hit one of the ancient god pterosaurs, quickly draining its life force and causing the pterosaur to plummet straight down. Ancient Ape, seeing this scene, appeared very worried. Being hit by the green light turns that pterosaur into a mummy. Dragon brother was also hit just now. Will he? The Deathlark, seeing its minion killed right before its eyes, angrily used the hurricane to hurl rocks at the king of the dead rotten reptiles. The three heads of the king of the dead rotten reptiles simultaneously spewed venom breath, blocking the incoming rocks. Seizing this opportunity, the Deathlark quickly called its minions to retreat. Hearing the command, all her minions quickly ascended, no longer engaging in the battle. However, the king of the dead rotten reptiles was not to be trifled with, and it spewed venom breath again at the Deathlark. "Since you mess it up here, don't you try to escape." Watching the approaching venom breath, the Deathlark exclaimed, "Damn it." The next second, her body emitted light. "Wanna launch a sneak attack upon me? Don't you think about it." In an instant, the Deathlark transformed into human form, and the venom breath passed by her, narrowly missing. As she fell, a Dimorphodon pterosaur rushed towards her, catching her steadily. Afterward, she commanded her minions to increase their speed and first fly out of the swamp of bones. At this moment, the king of the dead rotten reptiles watched us getting away, powerless to do anything. Blade and Bomb stepped forward to ask, "What should we do now?" The king of the dead rotten reptiles said, "That thunder dragon is very special. It didn't die even after being hit by my venom breath. However, I can feel that the venom breath is different from before. It's the life essence force extracted from the body of the thunder dragon. Get your brothers here. We need to take them down. I need to digest this peculiar life source energy in peace." On the other side, we had already flown out of the swamp of bones. All territories of the Deathlark had been overrun by the dead rotten reptiles, making it unsafe to go there. So she asked Wolverine where to go next. Wolverine looked at me, unconscious, and pondered for a moment. Wolverine suggested we temporarily take refuge at his place. Just then, Ancient Ape exclaimed, "What's happening to Dragon brother?" Both the Deathlark and Wolverine looked at me, but didn't notice anything unusual. "What's wrong?" "I see nothing wrong with him," Ancient Ape reminded. "Dragon brother is getting smaller." They didn't understand what was happening, so they decided to head to Wolverine's territory first and figure things out later. After a while, in the lair of Wolverine, I woke up with a startle. At this moment, I looked at my body, puzzled. The wounds from the battle had miraculously healed. Just then, two huge figures appeared in front of me, Deathlark and Ancient Ape. At this time, they looked at me, covering their mouths and giggling nonstop. I complained, "What did you eat? How did you grow so fast?" Just then, Wolverine walked in from outside, and I was instantly bewildered. "Wolverine, how did you get taller? And you're in human form now?" Wolverine was speechless. Ancient Ape explained, "Dragon brother, it's not that we've grown taller, it's that you've shrunk." "What did you say? Have I shrunk? How could this happen?" "Little Kuan, are you there?" After Little Kuan appeared, he pulled up my attribute panel, which now showed my height as only 8 meters. The system's explanation was, I'd been beaten to a pulp, needing to level up from scratch. What does beaten to a pulp and needing to level up from scratch mean? Little Kuan explained, "I guess it's caused by the king of the dead rotten reptiles' venom breath. Venom breath can absorb the life essence of organisms, leading to their rapid death. But your life essence is obtained through evolution points, so the venom breath only absorbed the evolution points you gained after coming to this world, and it didn't lead to death. What concerns me now is that the venom breath can add the stolen life essence to the king of the dead rotten reptiles. It possesses all the evolution points you've gained since coming to this world. You mean it gained my life essence? How am I supposed to play now? That guy was already strong enough. Isn't this going to make him invincible? I couldn't beat him before, and now it's even more hopeless. It looks like I can only desperately eat to earn back the evolution points and wait until I become a 100-meter beast before I go back for revenge. At this time, Deathlark looked at me like I was a monster. You really are special. The king of the dead rotten reptiles' venom breath can kill any creature, but it can't kill you. It just made you smaller. And your breath can kill the dead rotten reptiles that even we can't kill. What creature are you? What do you mean, what creature? Can't you speak politely? I'm a thunder dragon, destined to be the king of monsters. With your tiny size? The king of monsters? Her words made me quite unhappy. How could you say I'm tiny? Just you wait. I will eat as much as I can. One day, I'll grow back into a giant, handsome dragon. By the way, Mr. Wolverine, where are we? Ancient Ape quickly explained, this is Mr. Wolverine's cave. After looking around, I surprisingly found a grave with a giant sword stuck in the middle, surrounded by various weapons. Mr. Wolverine, why is there a grave over there? Wolverine explained, this grave contains my human master, and these cold weapons on the ground were all his. You really live with humans. Did your master teach you the sword fighting skills? But how could a human possibly handle such a giant sword? Wolverine slowly told me about his past. It turns out, this world isn't the familiar blue planet I knew. Among the humans here, many have supernatural abilities. Some can control fire, some can unleash lightning, some have superhuman strength, and some can even summon beasts. These people are divided into two groups, good and evil. His master was also a human with psychic powers, capable of manipulating telekinesis. Because he loved cold weapons, his fighting style involved controlling various weapons in combat. Even a blade a dozen meters long obeyed all his orders. 20 years ago, Wolverine's master was chased by enemies from the evil side and fled to Abyss Island. By chance, he saved Wolverine from the jaws of a giant Smilodon. It was also under his guidance that Wolverine learned swordsmanship. Unfortunately, Wolverine doesn't have telekinesis, so he couldn't learn the essence of his master's martial arts. Due to an interest in the island's giant creatures, he even explored the island's underground, searching for the source that caused these creatures to grow so large. At this moment, I couldn't help but ask, with so many swords, how could your master carry them all? Wolverine indicated that his master had a space ring crafted by a psychic, which could store all his weapons and carry them around. Hearing that this world actually had the legendary space rings, my eyes lit up. That's amazing. Mr. Wolverine, where is that ring now? Wolverine ignored me and continued, I lived with my master for 10 years, but one day suddenly, my master's enemies invaded the island. In order not to implicate me, he concealed his plans and went to battle alone. I found my master seriously wounded under a tree. He had killed his enemies, but at a great cost. For the past 10 years, I have been guarding here with my clansmen, protecting everything of my master's. After hearing Wolverine's words, the Deathlark snorted coldly. For a dead man and this pile of junk, you willingly chose to stay in peace with the king of the dead rotten reptiles, letting them erode this island bit by bit. Soon, you will lose your home. What's the point of preserving these weapons? Shut up. I won't allow you, strange bird, to insult my master. What I'm saying is the truth. Although you're not in wolf form now, the king of the dead rotten reptiles has already recognized you. You broke the agreement. Do you think the king of the dead rotten reptiles will let you go? Seeing the two about to start arguing again, I quickly changed the subject. Both of you, cool it. By the way, Mr. Wolverine, is this place hidden? The crawlers don't know about it. That's good. Right now, the most important thing is to get more food. I have to eat as much as I can. Hearing my carefree words, both the Deathlark and Wolverine yelled at me. What? Don't you have any idea about the situation we are in? How could you still care about eating? Embarrassed, I scratched my head. To grow up, I need nourishment. Soon, Wolverine's underlings filled the entrance of the cave with various prey. Ancient Ape, who had learned my true ways, skillfully set up a campfire and began roasting. Meanwhile, I pulled out my secret seasoning, sprinkling it on the cooked food along with my special barbecue sauce, guaranteeing a delicious explosion of flavor. By then, Wolverine had completely succumbed, drooling all over the place. The Deathlark, smelling the aroma, was full of praise. It's so delicious. I think I can smell fennel and cinnamon. Ancient Ape brought the roasted meat to Wolverine's underlings. Come on, no rush. There's enough for everyone. Just like that, our cute little group gathered together for a feast. After eating our fill, I lay on the grass, patting my round belly, thinking, it's my first time in Mr. Wolverine's territory. I wonder what good things will pop up if I check in here. Little Cohen, I want to check in. Check in location. Jackal Forest check-in reward. Grade A skill. Explosive bite. Baby version. Huge biting power, allowing you to easily provide a full-body bloodbath for monsters larger than you. Little Cohen, what do you mean? Baby version explosive bite. Is that full discrimination against my current height? Don't misunderstand. This is the skill I custom tailored for you after a comprehensive analysis of your current situation. The most suitable skill for you. As long as your stamina can handle it, you can bite prey like a piranha, peck through large trees like a woodpecker, or dig holes like a mole. Piranhas are okay, but let's forget about woodpeckers and mole. This dragon eats meat, not wood or dirt. Just like that, we ate and drank, quietly passing a few days. I tossed the analyzed transformation fruit to Wolverine. Mr. Wolverine, after you eat this, you can turn back into a giant wolf, and you'll be able to switch freely between wolf and human forms. At this time, the Deathlark was still somewhat skeptical, watching as Wolverine finished eating the transformation fruit. Mr. Wolverine, now focus your mind, feel the position of the nucleus within your body, then use your will to shatter it, and channel the nucleus energy into your limbs and body. You can transform back into a monster. This process isn't easy. You'll probably need a day or two to get it. Before I could finish speaking, I heard a wolf howl. Wolverine had already transformed back into a giant wolf. Damn. Okay, you're all geniuses. The Deathlark, seeing this, almost dropped its jaw. He really transformed back. My transformation fruit has power like this. What exactly did Lin Shan do? Now that Wolverine's problem was resolved, it was time to witness a miracle. Little Cohen, add 200,000 evolution points to my height. Getting to 20 meters this time shouldn't be too hard. Host has consumed 201,002 evolution points. Height increased by 2 meters. Damn, Little Cohen, are you playing with me? I've reset to factory settings. How come 200,000 evolution points only made me 2 meters taller? Please, at best, you've just lost your equipment. Your level and skills are still intact. Although you're only 8 meters now, the cost in evolution points to increase height is the same as before. Dang, Little Cohen, you just want to see me in trouble. Then when can I regain my previous height? Right after I complained, my body was enveloped in a green light. In the next second, I began to rapidly shrink back to 8 meters tall. Damn, what's this now? Little Cohen was also shocked. I didn't expect the king of the dead rotten reptiles' venom breath is still active, and it can continue to steal your life essence. That's just too twisted. Does that mean I can never grow taller? At this time, deep underground on the other side, the king of the dead rotten reptiles, feeling the life essence of Godzilla entering its body again, couldn't help but feel puzzled. What method did he use to regain the life essence force in just a few days? But this also allowed the king of the dead rotten reptiles to pinpoint our location, preparing to catch us all in one go. At this moment, I felt like a frostbitten eggplant, completely clueless about what to do next. Ancient Ape and the others analyzed my situation, and to our surprise, the king of the dead rotten reptiles ability had left a mark inside me, continually absorbing my life essence. Although I can gain strength and increase my size by devouring, the venom breath mark essentially locks my height. At this time, Ancient Ape pleaded with the Deathlark to find a way to save me. After thinking for a while, the Deathlark said, if we defeat the king of the dead rotten reptiles, the mark will naturally disappear. But with our current strength, it's impossible, so we need to find an antidote. Wolverine asked Bird's sister, you know where to find it? Deathlark looked at Wolverine and shook her head, then said, the only one who might know how to deal with the venom breath is Baze, the monster lord living on the peak of the Sage Snow Mountain. Hearing this name, I quickly asked Deathlark about Baze. Legend has it that Baze possesses the ability of being immortal and has been living on Abyss Island for thousands of years. He is only one step away from becoming a monster god, but he never interferes with the affairs of Abyss Island, always living in seclusion on the extremely cold Sage's Snow Mountain. That place is covered in snowstorms all year round. It's freezing cold there. Even monsters find it difficult to reach there. However, if one can reach there with great perseverance and courage, he can make a wish to Baze by paying a certain price. Although this sounds like a mythological story, I still asked Deathlark what the price would be. Deathlark immediately became serious and said, the price is to offer something you consider most precious, such as freedom, honor, loved ones, or even life. This sounded more and more outrageous, feeling like a scam. I immediately waved my hands to refuse. Ancient Ape leaned down seriously and said, Dragon brother, the stories about Baze are true. I also heard about him from my parents when I was young. We can give it a try. At this time, Wolverine also spoke seriously. Lin Shan, what they're saying is true. My master also visited Baze when he was alive. Hearing them all say this, I reluctantly agreed, as there were no other options left. Might as well try as a last resort. So, I asked Deathlark where Sage's Snow Mountain was located and if flying there would be possible. Could her subordinates carry us there? The Deathlark said, Sage's Snow Mountain is always stormy and at a high altitude. Ordinary birds simply cannot fly there. I can have my subordinates take you to the mid-mountain. The rest you'll have to do on your own. While we were discussing this, the ground suddenly began to shake violently. What's happening? Is it an earthquake? The next second, the ground under the feet of two spiny jackals cracked, and they fell straight down. A huge pit appeared on the ground, and then countless dead rotten reptiles crawled out from the pit. We were immediately on high alert. How did the dead rotten reptiles find this place? Could it be because of the venom breath inside me? Unexpectedly, the king of the dead rotten reptiles could still locate me through the venom breath. Just then, a fierce roar broke my contemplation as the leader of the dead rotten reptiles, Blade, emerged from the pit, followed by another leader, Bomb. It looked at the spiny jackal baring their teeth and confronting the dead rotten reptiles and actually grinned as a bright light emitted from its back. With a boom, the dead rotten reptiles in front suddenly exploded. exploded. Seeing this, Wolverine shouted, "Don't be impulsive. Everyone, gather around me." Leaving behind the bodies of the two wolves that had just been blown up, Wolverine led his underlings quickly toward the cave. Just then, the ground on the other side also began to crack. Could it be the king of the dead rotten reptiles is coming too? Are more dead rotten reptiles about to appear? The next second, another chubby leader of the dead rotten reptiles appeared. Mist, one of the 6 hands of the king of the dead rotten reptiles. It possesses the bloodline of the mythical creature Shangliu, recorded in the classic of mountains and seas. With a length of 48 meters and a weight of 430 tons, Mist first used its tentacles to spray toxic fog outward, then blade and bomb roared, and in an instant, the dead rotten reptiles lunged at us with fangs and claws bared. Watching the advancing dead rotten reptiles, Ancient Ape and the 3 of us had serious expressions, ready to fight at any moment. Just then, a streak of golden light emerged from the cave, and the next second it swiftly passed by me. It was Wolverine charging out with a sword several meters long. Moreover, Wolverine also had weapons on his claws. With one sprint, the dead rotten reptiles fell like leaks. As more and more dead rotten reptiles fell under Wolverine, Blade swung its scythe and charged at Wolverine, and the 2 giant monsters immediately clashed, fighting so fiercely that it was difficult to tell them apart. At this moment, Ancient Ape pounded her chest and roared, "We can't let the dead rotten reptiles overrun Mr. Wolverine's territory. Dragon brother, let's join in." Ancient Ape swung her fist and charged at the dead rotten reptiles leader, Mist. However, this guy was very sneaky, quickly spewing out toxic fog to hide. Ancient Ape swung her fist but missed. While she searched for Mist, it quietly appeared behind her. I shouted, "Ape sister, watch out." But by then, Mist had already swung its sharp forelimbs at Ancient Ape. She screamed as blood spurted from her legs. Seeing Ancient Ape injured and falling, the dead rotten reptiles swarmed her. Their bellies rapidly expanded, and the next second, more dead rotten reptiles began to explode. Ancient Ape, terrified, ran with her head covered. Just then, an exploding dead rotten reptiles climbed onto her shoulder. "Ape sister, be careful." I rushed forward and bit the dead rotten reptiles. Just as I was about to fling it away, it exploded, instantly causing me to tear up. Damn, my teeth. Ignoring the pain in my teeth, I continued to charge towards the front line. I quickly got up and shouted at the Deathlark, "Bird sister, blow this toxic fog away. It helps cover the enemy and make all living beings explode." "That's so tricky and cruel." The Deathlark immediately understood my words and used the wind from its wings to disperse the toxic fog below. "Good job." As the toxic fog dissipated, Bomb's figure became visible. "Found you." I unleashed a burst breath directly at Bomb. It didn't have time to dodge and was hit squarely. While it was temporarily immobilized, I charged forward, a blue light flashing in my mouth, using the baby version of Explosive Bite to furiously attack Bomb. You successfully devoured the leader of the dead rotten reptiles, gaining 10,000 evolution points. Congratulations on your first devouring of the dead rotten reptiles leader Bomb, upgrading your grade S skill Explosive Bomb to grade S. The S grade skill not only has a larger explosion radius, but also allows for the continuous use of explosive effects. More importantly, you can control the timing of the explosion. Without your permission, it will never explode. Tormented by my Explosive Bite let out a roar, and its forelimbs suddenly began to swell. Damn, this guy is so fierce. He's even self-destructing. With a boom, Bomb used the explosion of its forelimbs to create distance between us. Although I didn't completely finish it off, it was seriously injured. Moreover, by devouring Bomb, I had upgraded my skill, making this round not a loss at all. Just then, Wolverine shouted, "Lin Shen, Ancient Ape, and the bird sister retreat first. Leave this place to me." "No way. We leave together. You can't handle all of them alone." However, Wolverine insisted he wouldn't leave his master alone. "If the king of the dead rotten reptiles comes, none of us can escape." While we were arguing, suddenly, poison spikes shot out from the pit below, aiming at the Deathlark. Fortunately, Deathlark noticed in time and dodged to the side. Soon after, a purple-red dead rotten reptiles leader appeared. This guy is also one of the 6 hands of the king of the dead rotten reptiles, Venom Shadow, with a length of 43 meters and a weight of 390 tons. Damn, another dead rotten reptiles leader. This one is like a chameleon. It has been lurking in the dark all this time, looking for a chance to sneak attack. Shame on you. At this moment, Wolverine urged again, "Lin Shen, hurry and leave. The dead rotten reptiles are all here. You must go before it's too late. Don't worry about me. I have a way to escape. Run." I clenched my fists, full of reluctance, but facing Venom Shadow, who had just joined the battle, we had no chance of winning. So I gritted my teeth and said, "Mr. Wolverine, you must take care of yourself." While Wolverine was holding off the dead rotten reptiles leaders, I jumped onto Ancient Ape's shoulder. "Bird sister, Ape sister, let's go." Just then, Venom Shadow's body rapidly changed colors, hiding in the toxic fog and chasing after us. Taking advantage of the fog's cover, this 6th hand launched a sneak attack, instantly shooting numerous poison spikes from the fog. I quickly warned Ancient Ape, "Be careful. That chameleon is here." Ancient Ape, using agile movements, swayed left and right to dodge the incoming poison spikes. At this moment, arcs of electricity flashed over me, thinking, perfect timing. Let's see how you like my newly upgraded Explosive Bomb. bomb. If I can seriously injure another one, it might also help reduce some pressure on Mr. Wolverine. The next second, I unleashed countless explosive bombs in an indiscriminate attack. Although Venom Shadow was camouflaged within the toxic fog, it couldn't avoid my relentless assault. The explosive bombs hit its body, rebounding in all directions. Watching the explosive bombs bounce around it, Venom Shadow looked baffled. This attack barely tickles. What on earth is it? Little did it know, this was exactly the effect I wanted. My lips curled up into a mischievous smile. Suddenly, I thought of a cool way to launch the explosive bombs, and with a snap of my fingers, Venom Shadow was engulfed in explosions. The continuous explosions caused heavy losses for the dead rotten reptiles. Damn, this upgraded explosive bomb really kicks ass. It's like a cluster bomb. After all that, Ape's sister quickly led me away. That was all we could do for now, hoping that Wolverine could get out there soon. At that moment, Blade, who was in a fierce battle with Wolverine, got distracted by the sound of the explosions. Wolverine seized the opportunity, slashing off several of its legs with his sword and pinning it to the ground, grinding it harshly until it lost the ability to fight. By now, Lin Shen and the others should have escaped, and my clansmen are also retreating. The king of the dead rotten reptiles is after us. My master's graveyard and weapons are useless to him. Sorry, master, I'll be back soon. Thinking this, Wolverine turned to lead the remaining members of his pack away. Just then, the ground began to tremble, and a rumbling sound came from behind. Turning around in horror, Wolverine saw the land beneath the cave collapse, and the den began to sink slowly. Instantly, a huge pit appeared, and a large, dark-skinned monster emerged from it. Seeing his master's graveyard destroyed, Wolverine went berserk, furiously attacking the monster. Bastard, I'll kill you. Meanwhile, at Sage's Snow Mountain, under the guidance of the Deathlark, we arrived at the mid-mountain. The Tapajara could only fly us this far. We had to walk the rest of the way. Ancient Ape jumped down from the Tapajara without hesitation, landing in snow that immediately buried her calves. She quickly waved at me. Dragon brother, the snow here is really deep. Be careful. No worries. It's just a bit of snow. What's there to worry about? With that, I also jumped down. But damn it, the moment I landed, I disappeared from view, leaving only a mark where I had fallen into the snow. Ancient Ape frantically dug through the snow, shouting, Dragon brother, are you alright? The next second, a beam of heat radiated from beneath the snow, and I climbed out, irritated. Damn, this damn ground is insane. The snow is several meters deep. At that moment, Deathlark transformed into human form, landing on Ancient Ape's shoulder. Ape's sister just warned you. You really are a fool. Why did you change back to human form? Don't you need to climb the snow mountain? Bird's sister simply sat on Ancient Ape's shoulder. I'm not a dodo bird. I hate walking, and with this snowstorm, I definitely can't fly up. Little did we know, this haughty lady was well prepared. At her command, a Tapajara quickly brought over a bamboo basket. Seeing the basket, I was baffled. What are you planning with that thing? Bird's sister jumped into the basket, declaring, of course, it's to make the journey comfortable and pleasant. You sure know how to enjoy yourself. You're not really treating Ape's sister as a traveling bus, are you? Cut the crap. Are you coming in or not? It's easier for Ape's sister to carry us in the basket. I climbed into the bamboo basket, and an image instantly flashed through my mind. This feels like I've suddenly become Ape's sister's baby. At that moment, Ancient Ape lifted the basket to test it, repeatedly praising Bird's sister for her thoughtful consideration. It really is convenient for me to move now. Just then, a slight crack sounded under my feet. In the next second, the bottom of the bamboo basket suddenly broke, and Bird's sister and I fell downward. Damn, where did you buy this knockoff? The bottom fell out. The quality is awful. And so, I once again crashed into several meters of snow. Even so, Bird's sister scolded me. Ugly dragon, can't you eat less along the way? You're so small, yet so heavy. Although her words angered me, I couldn't refute them. Now that I can't use evolution points to upgrade, I can only save up as many evolution points as possible in case I need to exchange items in the shop for emergencies later. So, I called out Little Quinn to search the system shop to see if there was a basket that could fit my back. Little Quinn opened the system shop, searched for a while, and finally found a product named Baby Monster's Basket. I was speechless for a moment. The absurd name of the product felt like an insult to me. Little Quinn, are you sure this can withstand my weight? Don't worry, it's designed especially for you. You'll be okay there. Designed for me? Little Quinn, you're definitely doing this on purpose. Bird's sister stepped forward, looking curiously at the backpack that appeared out of nowhere. You really have a lot of secrets. How did you come by this big basket? That's my secret. Do you want to come in? Please be seated. Ancient Ape put on the backpack again, ready to hit the road. Ape's sister, let's go. Let's conquer Sage's Snow Mountain together. At this time, Ancient Ape was also full of passion. Looking at the two of us, Bird's sister was speechless. But climbing Sage's Snow Mountain was not as simple as we had imagined. As we climbed higher, the weather became increasingly severe, and Ancient Ape struggled to advance through the blizzard. Meanwhile, Bird's sister and I shivered from the cold inside the bamboo basket. What the hell is this weather? Thank goodness I'm tough, or I'd have frozen by now. After a while, Ancient Ape looked ahead, puzzled. In front of us was a steep cliff, and there was no path leading to the summit. But this wasn't a problem for my Ancient Ape. Climbing is her forte. She rolled up her sleeves and prepared to start. It must be nice being a furry animal, not feeling the cold. Dragon brother, Bird's sister, hold on tight. As Ancient Ape climbed, we gradually neared the cliff top. top. Just then, a crack sounded under Ancient Ape's feet, followed by breaking rocks. Ancient Ape's footing slipped, and we started falling straight down. As Bird's sister and I panicked and screamed, Ancient Ape calmly adjusted her body's angle. As she moved further away from the mountain, she quickly grabbed a protruding rock, pressed her body against the mountain, and used her hands and feet to stabilize her falling form. "Don't worry, Brother Dragon, I'll definitely make it up this time." After a while, Ancient Ape's hands touched the top of the cliff. "Ape sister, thank you for your hard work. I'll make you some secret sauce skewers later." "It's no trouble. Thank you, Dragon Brother." But when Ancient Ape stepped onto the cliff top, she found a huge lake in front of her. Ancient Ape cautiously tested the thickness of the ice with her foot, and Bird sister said, "The ice looks thick enough. Shouldn't be a problem crossing it. We've come this far. We can't back down now." As Ancient Ape carefully walked on the ice, suddenly, I shouted, "Ape sister, watch out. There's a big thing under the ice." No sooner had I spoken than a thud came from beneath the ice. I quickly warned Ancient Ape, "Run. That thing wants to break the ice and make us fall in." As Ancient Ape ran, the giant beneath the ice kept chasing us, striking the ice as it went. With its impacts, cracks appeared in the ice. With a crack, the ice broke, and Ancient Ape leaped from ice to ice, rushing forward. Just as she jumped onto one ice and was about to leap to the next, the giant from below suddenly burst through, smashing the ice floe while knocking Ancient Ape into the air. Then she plunged into the water. Sinking, I struggled to swim out of the bamboo basket. It was then I clearly saw our attacker, an ancient walrus, 55 meters long and weighing 80 tons. Its enormous fangs could easily pierce an enemy's body. At that moment, the ancient walrus was quickly approaching us, its fangs aimed at Ancient Ape, completely ignoring me. Just as Ancient Ape dodged its sharp fangs, its tail fin slapped her, sending her spinning through the air. Watching Ancient Ape spin downwards, I asked worriedly if she was alright, but Ancient Ape pointed in a dazed direction and said, "Never mind me. Go save Sister Bird first." I looked in the direction she was pointing, only to see Bird's sister curled up, making gurgling noises. Unexpectedly, this haughty lady turned out to be a non-swimmer. As I went to rescue Bird's sister, the ancient walrus hit Ancient Ape again and dragged her towards the lake bottom. Ancient Ape, undeterred, continued to pound the walrus with her fists. Seeing Ancient Ape and the walrus exchanging blows, I decided to get Bird's sister to shore first, then come back to help her. So I swam upwards quickly, but then I discovered the broken ice had refrozen. Clenching my teeth, I powered up to break through, but no matter how hard I hit, the ice wouldn't crack. My current size was too small to break through the ice. So, I gathered energy in my mouth, ready to melt through the ice with a heat ray. But damn it, the next second was awkward. The heat ray had just sprayed from my mouth when it sizzled out immediately. At this time, Ancient Ape was still struggling with the ancient walrus, but she couldn't last long in the water. We had to get to shore quickly. So, I swam towards Ancient Ape, now pinning all my hopes on the burst breath, hoping it wouldn't extinguish in the water. "Ape sister, move aside. Let me handle this." Hearing my shout, Ancient Ape pushed the ancient walrus away. The walrus, looking puzzled at my small stature returning to confront it, was caught off guard. I took advantage of its confusion and swam under its pectoral fin. Just as it clumsily tried to turn its hefty body around, I rapidly gathered energy and unleashed the burst breath on its back. The burst breath hit the back of the ancient walrus, propelling its body towards the ice. With a bang, the ice shattered under the impact of the walrus's body, and Ancient Ape and I successfully made it onto the ice surface. At this point, the ancient walrus lost its earlier arrogance and desperately flapped its tail, trying to escape back into the water. "Fatty, you are all tough in the water, but on land, you're just a fish out of water." "Dragon, brother, this guy's body is all muscle. It would make a delicious barbecue," Ancient Ape said, rolling up her sleeves to get started. However, Bird's sister suddenly snapped and gave me a huge wallop. "Have you gone mad? Every monster on Sage's Snow Mountain is a follower of Bay's. We can't kill them." As we squabbled, the ancient walrus poked the ice again with its sharp fangs, breaking through the ice layer and taking the opportunity to slip back into the water and disappear in a flash. At this point, Ancient Ape and I could only watch helplessly. Ancient Ape muttered, "I'm only sparing it for Bird's sister's sake this time." And just like that, the meal that was almost in our mouths flew away, and we didn't catch even a feather. Back in the bamboo basket, I was really upset. "We're all beat up, and we can't even fight back. What the hell is this?" At this time, Bird's sister explained, "Many monsters adapted to the icy environment on Sage's Snow Mountain are followers of Bays. If you kill them, you can forget about ever meeting Bays in this lifetime." Afterward, Ancient Ape carried us on her back, continuing to forge ahead through the blizzard. Soon, a magnificent cave appeared in front of us. "That must be Bays' cave, really freaking magnificent." Bird's sister peered out and said, "That should be it." Just then, a loud voice came, "Stop, this is the sacred land of the Beast Lord. Outsiders step back." A creature covered in white fur jumped out from the side, spreading its arms to block the cave entrance. This was an ancient snow bear, standing 60 meters tall and weighing 180 tons. It possessed immense strength, capable of smashing an opponent's head with one swipe of its paw. A huge foot stomped out. "How did you, a long-haired monkey, bring humans here? This place is not for humans." This was an ice Bigfoot, standing 70 meters tall and weighing 210 tons, the legendary Bigfoot of the Snow Mountains, known for its grumpy temper. At that moment, moment, it really shattered my preconceptions. I didn't expect Snow Bear and Bigfoot to speak human language, but it seemed they were just gatekeepers. At that time, Bird's sister radiated a golden light. Open your small eyes and see clearly. Check if this miss is a human. The next second, she transformed back into her monster form. However, the Bigfoot waved dismissively. Being able to transform into a human means you're related to humans, and anything related to humans is strictly forbidden here. The Snow Bear pointed at me. Was it you, the little dwarf, who hit the walrus? News travels fast. Yes, it was me. Who let it attack us first? Also, I'm not a little dwarf. To me, you've always been the little brother. I turned to the Bigfoot. Bigfoot, you keep saying humans can't step foot here, but didn't I hear that a human psychic visited here a decade ago? That was back then. I wasn't here yet, but now it's not possible. Let's go. Don't blame me for being rude if you don't leave now. Seeing these two not giving in easily and trying to dismiss us with just a word, Ancient Ape immediately began stretching her limbs. Looking for a fight? We'll take you on to the end. Just then, a voice came from inside the cave. Snow Bear, Bigfoot, let them in. Hearing this voice, the Snow Bear and Bigfoot deeply bowed toward the cave. Lord Baze allows you to enter. You'd better not try any tricks. They even made a gesture of I'll be watching you, really acting high and mighty, meddling in others' affairs. Following that, Ancient Ape and I entered Baze's cave. Soon, we saw a creature sitting on a crystal pedestal. It was the very Baze we were seeking, the most mysterious being on Abyss Island, a creature of good fortune, known to turn calamities into blessings. When Baze asked us what we wanted, Bird's sister explained to Baze about how I was hit by the venom breath of the king of the dead rotten reptiles, which took away my life essence and caused my body to shrink, and asked it to help purify the toxic energy within me. After listening to Bird's sister's account, Baze looked incredulous. You dared to provoke the king of the dead rotten reptiles? And this dragon was poisoned. Though it's not life-threatening, it has caused a reduction in size. It scrutinized me and was even more astonished. I can't believe this little one is a human. How can a human appear in the form of a monster? And besides the venom breath of the king of the dead rotten reptiles, he also has a type of energy in his body that I've never seen before. Is it energy from beyond Abyss Island? Quite an interesting little fellow. Baze asked Bird's sister, are you really determined to help him? Bird's sister seriously said, I've made up my mind. Please, Lord Baze, help him. While they purified the venom breath in my body, I was confused by their back and forth. What determination? Why can't I understand a word they're saying? Just then, a beam of white light suddenly enveloped my body. I was wrapped in the light, floating in midair. The next second, a green mist drifted out of my body, and I instantly felt a sense of lightness and indescribable relief. Looking at my body, I was incredulous. Is that it? So, I quickly summoned Little Kun to check if there was any residual venom breath energy inside me. After scanning, Little Kun confirmed that the venom breath had indeed been eliminated from my body. I can't believe Baze really has the power to drive out all evil. Now I can finally grow taller. I had saved up 300,000 evolution points from eating and drinking along the way, which finally came in handy. Little Kun, don't wait. Use 200,000 evolution points to grow 2 meters first. Let's test the waters. The next second, my body was surrounded by a golden light, and I visibly grew taller by 2 meters. Seeing my transformation, Baze was again surprised. This dragon's body can grow in an instant. Is it because of that mysterious power within him? The Deathlark can convert life essence into magical power stored in its feathers, while this thunder dragon, even after losing its life essence, can still regenerate. Truly interesting. After the venom breath was expelled, my body did not shrink again. When I thanked Baze, it told me there was no need to thank it. If I were to thank anyone, it should be Bird's sister. This confused me again. Why should I thank Bird's sister? Shouldn't I be thanking Baze? Suddenly, it hit me. Bird's sister had once told me, asking Baze for help requires a certain price, sacrificing something you consider most precious, such as health, loved ones, honor, or even life. I thought back. Baze hadn't asked for any price. Bird's sister made the request, and Baze cured me right away. Bird's sister, what precious price did you pay for me? When did you agree to it? Why don't I know anything about it? At that moment, Baze spoke up. All the monsters on Abyss Island know that the price for granting a request is the payment of life essence. I was struck by lightning at that moment, not expecting that Bird's sister had offered her own life essence for me. Thinking back on how the venom breath took away my life essence, causing me to shrink, and how the Tapajara lost its life essence and turned into a mummy, I quickly asked Baze, what will happen if Bird's sister gives up her life essence? Baze explained, only you shrink in size when you lose life essence. Other monsters accelerate aging or even die of old age immediately. Die of old age? Absolutely not. I hurriedly said to Bird's sister, Bird's sister, you usually seem so clever. Why would you make such a foolish choice this time? Why use your life essence as the price? I should pay for my own issues. Deathlark turned her head away. I decide what price I want to pay. You don't need to worry. Don't worry. It's not as serious as Lord Baze said. At most it will just make me more mature. I knew things were not as simple as Bird's sister was making them out to be, so I asked Baze to revoke the deal with Bird's sister and exchange my life essence instead. But Baze slowly shook its head. Because you are human, it won't work. I never make deals with humans, nor will I fulfill any requests from them. I was shocked to learn that Baze had known I was human all along. I quickly explained that I was no longer human, now just a dragon on Abyss Island. Hearing our conversation, Bird's sister fell into thought. He really is human? Wolverine said he was human, but didn't he become human-shaped after eating my transformation fruit? However, his behavior does indeed have human traits. No wonder Wolverine feels attracted to him. At this moment, I clasped my hands together, continuously pleading with Baze. I won't lose a companion's life for my own benefit. I hope Lord Baze will reconsider. Hearing my words, Baze fell into thought. After a moment, it pointed at us and said, the spirit of self-sacrifice you two show is rare among monsters, and this ancient ape managed to bring you up the mountain all by herself, which is commendable. Alright, I will cancel the deal with the Deathlark. Relieved, I repeatedly thanked Baze, even stating it could take my life essence whenever it wanted. Bird's sister then hurriedly said, Lord Baze, please do not cancel the deal with me. Please take my life essence. Baze raised its hand to interrupt us, stating it would not take anyone's life essence as long as we could complete its trial. The three of us were immediately confused. A trial? What kind of trial? Follow me, said Baze, walking out of the cave. Soon, we arrived at the lake where we had fought the walrus, instantly making Ancient Ape and me break out in cold sweat. Lord Baze, why are we here? We were just here. Baze noticed our concerns. The walrus won't ambush you again. Don't worry, and I will reinforce the entire lake surface to make it less likely to break. After saying this, it demonstrated its power, sending a chill spreading in all directions from its center. Lin Shen, since you are human, let's conduct the trial in a human way. The next second, a hockey jersey suddenly appeared on me. Lin Shen, let's have a friendly game of hockey. Hearing this peculiar trial, Ancient Ape and I were baffled. You even know about hockey, and you said you haven't had contact with humans. Baze responded calmly, because I know everything. Then, it stamped on the ground to activate its power, and in an instant, a huge ice hockey rink appeared on the ice. To accommodate our massive monster sizes, it specially designed the rink to be very large, and even slightly increased the size of the goals and the hockey puck. The rules of the game were simple. We didn't need skates or hockey sticks. Any skills could be used to get the puck into the goal, as long as we competed in monster form. The team with the most goals within the allotted time would win. When I saw the oversized hockey puck at my feet, I was taken aback. This is too exaggerated. How are we supposed to play with such a small puck and no sticks? Aren't you making this intentionally difficult for us? Baze stated, since it is a trial, it is supposed to be challenging. That made sense. Although I had never played hockey, I had played table hockey. It's all about getting the puck into the goal. So, I asked Baze, there are three of us on this side. Aren't you missing two? Are the polar bear and Bigfoot going to join? Baze replied, they don't need to participate. This is going to be a 2-on-2 match. Then it pointed at Ancient Ape and said, you and Deathlark will be a team, and I will team up with Ancient Ape. What did you say? You want to be on a team with Ape's sister, and it's 2-on-2? Yes, you heard right. Ancient Ape, come over here. At this point, Ancient Ape looked at me uncertainly. Dragon brother, what should I do? I generously said, it's okay. Ape's sister, do as Lord Baze says. Go over there. At this moment, my heart was secretly delighted. Ancient Ape was my person, and Baze chose to be her partner. I could win this trial with my eyes closed. Thus, Ancient Ape walked towards Baze, looking back every 3 steps. When she reached Baze, it whispered in her ear, during the match, you must use all your strength to stop the Deathlark from scoring. I'll handle Lin Shen. If you dare to go easy, I'll cancel the deal. Do you want to watch Lin Shen continue to suffer from the venom breath, or do you want to watch the Deathlark gradually age and die? Ancient Ape was about to explode with anger when she heard this, but Baze reminded her, don't make a sound. Just nod your head if you agree. If you don't agree, I'll immediately cancel our previous deal. With no other choice, Ancient Ape reluctantly nodded in agreement. Alright, then get ready for the game, said Baze as it walked towards the field. This confused me even more. Didn't you say you'd be on Ape's sister's team? Why are you leaving? Baze climbed onto a high platform and explained, it would be bullying if I competed against you directly. So, I'll send a representative to play in my place. As it spoke, a figure appeared in the sky. Ha ha ha. Am I here on time? To our surprise, the newcomer was a little girl. Baze introduced her. This is my representative, a sweet, vulnerable girl. You have the advantage in size, which really gives you the upper hand. Looking at the little girl who was nearly as tall as Wolverine, I exclaimed, do you call a girl of 2 meters vulnerable? She is more like a macho queen. The little girl immediately put on a pitiful face. When we play, you better not bully me. Seeing her act that way, I couldn't help but cover my mouth and chuckle. Soon, both teams took their positions, ready to start the game. As Baze announced the start of the match, the vulnerable girl's demeanor switched to berserk mode. She swung her stick fast, sending the hockey puck whizzing under my feet. While I was distracted, she swiftly skated around to the other side. Just as I turned to chase her, I slipped and fell with a thud, face first onto the ice. Bird's sister, stop her, I shouted. Deathlark flapped her wings preparing to intercept, but at that moment, Ape's sister grabbed her by the claw and slammed her heavily to the ground. The little girl took advantage of the situation to skirt around them and scored a goal. Baze's voice then boomed across the rink. Team Baze scores. The score is 1-0. Unaware of the truth, Deathlark scolded Ancient Ape, you silly monkey. Why did you stop me? Ancient Ape kept apologizing profusely. We then took our places again, ready for the second round of the game. This time, I decided to use my tail instead of a stick to try to gain control of the puck. As Baze announced the start, the Kong Barbie and I moved at the same time, but she managed to snatch the puck away once more. I'm so big, and the hockey puck is so small, it's really hard to hit it. While rushing towards the puck, Kong Barbie looked back and teased, "Silly dragon, try to catch me." Just as I tried to chase after her, I slipped and my body lost balance again. Oh no, I'm going to fall. Taking advantage of my mistake, Kong Barbie easily scored another goal, bringing the score to 2-0. In the following matches, we were completely dominated, with the score quickly reaching 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Soon, it was time for the sixth game. After several rounds, I gradually got the hang of running on the ice. As I was chasing Kong Barbie, she teased me again, "You can finally run on ice?" Just then, Deathlark suddenly appeared in front of Kong Barbie, using the wind from her wings to block her and blew the puck backwards. Nicely done, bird sister. As Kong Barbie turned to look behind her, I had already turned around and was chasing the puck. With no one in front, it was a great opportunity for me to score. Seeing the puck close at hand, I couldn't help feeling smug. Deathlark, it's our turn to turn the tables now. I executed a stylish dragon tail flick and successfully hit the puck. But damn it, I might have used too much force. The puck flew straight into outer space. At that moment, Deathlark teleported behind me and slapped the back of my head. "You wasted such a good opportunity. Why did you hit it so hard?" I sheepishly scratched my head. "Don't worry, if there's a first time, there'll be a second. I'll definitely score next time." It was time for the seventh puck drop. This time, I managed to gain control of the puck and quickly dashed towards it. With Kong Barbie hot on my heels, I hurriedly called for Deathlark to receive the puck, and we started coordinating. I swept the puck forward with my tail, and Deathlark accelerated and caught it cleanly. Just then, Ancient Ape raised her fists and charged at Deathlark. Deathlark performed a graceful roll to dodge her attack. "Silly monkey, you're still trying so hard. But with your predictable moves, I saw right through you long ago." She swung her wings and passed the puck to me. "Ha ha ha, I'm finally about to score. Watch me perform this time." Just as I was reveling, suddenly, a hockey stick appeared under my feet. The next second, I was flung into the air and crashed to the ground, tumbling under momentum right into the goal. I shouted at Baze, "Lord Baze." Kong Barbie fouled. She used a hockey stick to hook me, but Baze responded, "The only rule of this game is to play in monster form. All other actions are not considered fouls." Kong Barbie made a face at me. "Silly dragon, this lady calls it a fair check." Kong Barbie boasted proudly, "If that's the case, then let me show you what a real fair check is." Fuming towards Deathlark, who was also visibly upset. At that moment, Kong Barbie said to Ancient Ape, "Your speed and strength are not weak, but you only know how to use brute force. Even the ugly dragon can skate on ice now, but you're still clumsy. You should treat this trial as a form of training. When your body is about to lose balance and fall, you need to change your posture to offset the impending force. Learn to dissipate and leverage force, and you won't lose your balance. Feel this force attentively." After hearing Kong Barbie's words, Ancient Ape was deeply moved. So this little sister was giving me pointers. She was teaching me how to train. I've always been weaker than Dragon Brother and the others, always dragging them down. I'll treat this match as a training session. Dragon Brother, Mr. Wolverine, Bird Sister, this time I will catch up to your pace. As the match resumed, Kong Barbie again took control of the puck, with Ancient Ape quickly following her. While running, Ancient Ape contemplated the force dissipation that little girl talked about. The next second, she accidentally fell hard on the ice. At that moment, Deathlark stepped over Ancient Ape's body to jump past, turning back to mock, "Silly monkey, can't even judge distances, yet you're still trying so hard." Though Ancient Ape felt bitter inside, she gritted her teeth and persisted, "Don't panic. I must improve my strength. I can't be a drag on Dragon Brother and the others." But just as she stood up, her body began to sway, and she muttered to herself, "Steady, steady." When she finally stabilized and ran forward, she suddenly exclaimed excitedly, "I think I've got the feel for it. This is how it is." Just then, I whipped the hockey puck out of Kong Barbie's hands with my tail. Deathlark was about to catch it with her claws when Ancient Ape quickly pounced from behind. Left with no choice, Deathlark had to take off quickly, puzzled. How did this silly monkey catch up so fast? At that moment, Ancient Ape lost her balance and fell forward. She supported herself with her palms, performed a beautiful 360-degree front handspring, and landed steadily. Seeing her move, Deathlark was shocked. What the hell? When did this monkey become so agile and quick? At that time, Ancient Ape was thrilled. I've finally done it. When she opened her eyes, she saw the puck right in front of her, just a few steps from the goal. She crouched down, mimed a marble shooting gesture, and the next second, she flicked the puck steadily into the goal. Seeing this, Kong Barbie danced joyously. Ancient Ape scores, while I pointed at Ancient Ape and shouted, "Ape sister, whose side are you on?" Deathlark joined in, saying, "Truly a traitor." Unbothered by our comments, Ancient Ape just scratched her head awkwardly, continuously apologizing to us. Seeing Ancient Ape's unusual behavior, I couldn't help but ponder. Why would Ape's sister help Baze and the girl? Did they threaten her with something? Ape's sister is so innocent, she would believe everything she is told. The game then resumes. I'm getting a hang of it. I use Dragon Kill and charge at the little girl, sending her flying. "Whoa, Lord Baze, he bullied me," she said while crying. "Did you see that? That's called real reasonable interference." I answered, "Fine, stupid dragon. You made me do this. You can't blame me for this," the little girl said angrily. Just then, the little girl cloned herself herself. Deathlark, Ancient Ape, and I were shocked. Lord Baze, didn't you say this is a 2-on-2 game? Why is she allowed to call more hands here? I complained angrily. Besides, why is one of them carrying a huge hammer? I added. Who knew Baze would explain with a smile. This is her skill, self-splitting, so it's not a foul. The match shall continue. Hearing this explanation, I was furious. Fine, we're allowed to use skills here. I have plenty of skills to show you. Bird sister, use your skills to blow them away. As Deathlark flapped her wings, the little girls flew up like pieces of paper. Then their bodies began to split into pieces. What the hell? Where are they? I stepped forward to take a closer look, only to find out that these clones were made of ice and snow. If it's ice dolls, then great. My radiant heat beams can counter you. Just then, I suddenly noticed one of the duplicates was missing. Not good. The one with the big hammer has disappeared. At that moment, Kong Barbie appeared behind me, raising a huge hammer and slamming it down towards me. There was a loud noise, and before I could react, I saw stars from the hammer's impact. While I was still trying to regain my balance, a little girl swiftly passed by me with a hockey puck, and the two following her tripped me with their hockey sticks, and another one dashed towards the goal, easily scoring. Baze's team scores another point, bringing the score to 10-0. At that moment, the throbbing pain in my head enraged me. Apart from so-called reasonable interference is one thing, but now you're actually hitting people. Is this still a hockey game? I'm done. I pointed at Baze and shouted loudly, Baze, you old geezer, are you messing with me? Get your healing power back. Let the venom breath keep suppressing me. I'm done. Even if I die, I won't come to you again. Deathlark and Ancient Ape, scared by my words, hurriedly tried to stop me. However, Baze not only wasn't angry, but instead smiled and said, young man, don't be so hot-tempered. Can't handle a little trial? How can it be called a trial without difficulties? How about this? The next match will decide it all. Just score one goal, and you pass the trial. How does that sound? Unexpectedly, after my outburst, I still got such a good deal. I promptly agreed to Baze's condition. Before the match began, Deathlark and I discussed our strategy. Soon, we took our positions, and as Baze announced the start, I immediately released a burst shot, hitting the hockey puck precisely. While the little girl were still surprised, I quickly chased after the puck. Think you can match skills with me? I've got loads of ace skills. At that moment, the little girl shouted, sisters, stop that dumb dragon. Suddenly, several little girls surrounded me, pummeling me from all sides. I quickly covered my head with my hands, getting all high and mighty, just because you're girls. Before I could finish, I took a solid hammer blow to the stomach, which sent me flying hundreds of meters. Watching the little girls hit and run, I was really annoyed. I stood up, gathering radioactive heat in my mouth. You've had your fun. Now it's my turn. Watch my radioactive heat ray melt you, setting the real one on fire. Now I found the real you. So what? You can't stop me. You won't get this game. The little girl snorted as she snapped her fingers. Then her duplicate started running. I gathered energy in my mouth and leaped above her. I targeted the burst breath in front of her. How could you always miss your target? Then Deathlark took her position at my back. Then I grabbed her claw and continued bursting the burst breath. The little girl was shocked as she see the burst breath started breaking the ice around her. All of her duplicates began falling. As I landed on the ice, I saw the little girl fall in the lake. Problem solved. I will get this goal. I quickly chased after the puck when I noticed the water where the little girl fall started boiling, as if you could melt the entire lake's ice at the bottom. As continuous crack sounds followed, the ice behind me began to crack. I hurriedly flicked the hockey puck forward with my tail, while Ancient Ape and Bird Sister had already fallen into the water, and I was still desperately running forward. Just as I was about to reach the offensive zone, I heard a crack under my feet, and my body also started falling towards the water. Damn it, so close. I fired a burst shot at the hockey puck. It's do or die. I'm all in. The hockey puck was hit by the burst shot and quickly flew forward, then went straight into the goal. Linshin's team scores. The game is over. Bird Sister and I celebrated joyfully in the water. Did you see that move just now? Bird Sister, we turned the tide. We won. Just then, Kong Barbie snorted coldly, leaped from the water, and exuded an extreme cold energy, instantly freezing the surface and trapping us in ice. What are you trying to do? You scheming girl. Can't handle losing? Just happy after one goal? I just beat you by 10 points. At this moment, Baze jumped down from the platform. You cooperated well, completely beyond my expectations. According to our agreement, you've won this match. You have successfully passed my trial. I won't take anyone's life source, and the previous deal remains valid. After saying this, he released energy from beneath his feet, instantly melting the ice that trapped us. We quickly climbed onto a piece of floating ice. An Ancient Ape and Bird Sister bowed to Baze in thanks. Baze took out an orb of light, looking at Ancient Ape and said, Little Ancient Ape, I forced you to team up with me. Sorry for the trouble. This is your compensation for teaming up with me. As the orb of light floated towards her, Ancient Ape felt a familiar sensation. When she caught the orb of light, her life source began resonating with it, giving her a profound sense of kinship. At that moment, Baze explained, This orb is from your parents' life sources. Hearing Baze's words, Ancient Ape was shocked. Baze, my parents also came to you for help. Please tell me, what did they use their life sources to ask for? Baze replied, Your parents asked me to ensure your safe growth. Seeing the visions of her parents smiling warmly at her in her mind, Ancient Ape's eyes teared up as she clutched the orb of light tightly to her chest. Baze raised his paw and said, instead. I'm giving you this life source. Now I will help you integrate it into your body to enhance your strength. Soon after, the orb glowed brightly in Ancient Ape's hands, then enveloped her, merging into her body. After absorbing the life source, Ancient Ape underwent a dramatic transformation. Not only did her appearance become more mature, but her height reached 57 meters, and her weight 171 tons. At this moment, Bird's sister and I were also filled with joy, seeing Ancient Ape not only grow taller, but also look stronger and more powerful. After gaining strength, Ancient Ape thanked Baze with a bow. Baze smiled and said, "Don't mention it. Now that your wishes have been fulfilled, you may leave the mountain." Hearing Baze's words, Bird's sister and Ancient Ape obediently responded, "Baze, we take our leave." But I stood still, then loudly said, "Baze, the king of the dead rotten reptiles is a pest of the entire Abyss Island. As the guardian of Abyss Island, would you join us in combating it?" Hearing my words, Ancient Ape and Deathlark were shocked, and Deathlark shouted, "Ugly dragon, did your brain freeze just now?" As she came up and slapped me hard. "Baze is the god of all the monsters on Abyss Island. How could he possibly join us to fight that filthy creature?" I rubbed my sore head and retorted, "Why not? As the god of the island's monsters, isn't it natural to protect Abyss Island from the king of the dead rotten reptiles?" At this point, Baze spoke, "I'm too old. Moving up and down the mountain is difficult for me. Even if you offered your life sources to ask me to descend, I couldn't help you. However, I can have Sidon accompany you in my stead." I looked disdainfully at the little girl. "So you're called Sidon? What can a little girl do?" Upon hearing this, the little girl sneered, "I wonder which ugly dragon was getting pummeled by me just a while ago." At that moment, Bird's sister and Ancient Ape both came to my side, trying to persuade me to accept Sidon's company. I crossed my arms and didn't listen to their advice. Seeing my attitude, Baze took out an orb of light and merged it into Sidon, saying, "Lin Shen, I've just infused Sidon with my life source, which will enhance her strength several times. You should feel reassured." Hearing this, Bird's sister quickly pressed my head down, hurriedly saying, "Lord Baze, thank you for being so considerate." Then she whispered into my ear, "Lin Shen, hurry up and thank Lord Baze, pushing your luck." But I retorted, "I'm not wrong. This scheming little girl is totally unreliable." The scene shifted to Ancient Ape carrying us down the mountain. Along the way, Sidon kept urging her, "Ape sister, can't you go any faster? I can't wait to go beat up the king of the dead rotten reptiles." Bird's sister and I were getting fed up with hearing her. "We're going to war, not on a holiday. What are you so happy about?" But Sidon completely ignored me and instead jumped onto Ancient Ape's carrying basket, shouting at her, "Ape sister, why don't I help you speed things up?" Ancient Ape, intrigued, asked, "What faster way do you have to get down the mountain?" Sidon smiled, snapped her fingers, and suddenly a snowboard made of ice and snow appeared beneath Ancient Ape's feet. The fastest way down is, of course, snowboarding. As the snowboard picked up speed, Ancient Ape started to lose control, while Sidon got even more excited. "This is so thrilling. Yes, let's rush down the mountain all at once," Sidon shouted excitedly. Meanwhile, I was terrified, tears and snot running down my face as I screamed, "Ape sister, this is too fast. Slow down." Bird's sister, looking ahead, yelled, "Watch out, you're about to hit a tree." Ancient Ape shouted in panic, "Dragon brother, Bird's sister, how do I slow this thing down? I can't stop it." After I removed the poison breath mark and passed Baze's trial, we returned to Wolverine's territory with Sidon. The area was filled with bodies and utter chaos. The little girl, seeing the scene, couldn't help but ask, "What happened here?" I gritted my teeth and replied, "It's all the damn dead rotten reptiles doing. Everywhere they go, they destroy everything." Suddenly, a thought struck me. That pit over there, isn't that where Mr. Wolverine cave is? Could those damn dead rotten reptiles have broken through the bottom of the cave, causing it to collapse and dragging the remains and weapons down with it? When I reached the edge of the pit, a red blood stain gave me a shock. The blood of the dead rotten reptiles is green. Could this red blood be Mr. Wolverine? He must have been seriously injured. Just then, a noise came from the forest, and it turned out to be Mr. Wolverine's pack emerging from the trees. Seeing them, I quickly approached and anxiously asked, "Where's Mr. Wolverine?" But the only response I got was several cries. I don't understand the calls of the spiny jackal, so I turned to ask Ancient Ape what they were saying. Tears in their eyes, the wolves howled at Ancient Ape again. Ancient Ape suddenly shouted, "Dragon brother, they said Mr. Wolverine has been taken by the dead rotten reptiles." I was shocked. Didn't he say he had a way to escape? Hearing this, the spiny jackal started howling again at Ancient Ape, telling her what had happened. It turns out that shortly after we left, the cave where Wolverine buried his master was destroyed. Seeing his master's graveyard destroyed, Wolverine lost his mind, fighting desperately against the dead rotten reptiles leaders. While he was distracted, other dead rotten reptiles leaders ambushed him from behind, causing severe injuries. The injured and unconscious Wolverine was then dragged into the pit by the dead rotten reptiles leaders. Hearing Ancient Ape's account, I gritted my teeth in anger. Mr. Wolverine must be in grave danger. We must go down and save him immediately. Just then, Deathlark stopped me. "No, ugly dragon. Going down there with our current strength is suicide. Moreover, it's been so many days. Wolverine might have already." I immediately interrupted Bird's sister. "No, it definitely hasn't happened. The king of the dead rotten reptiles' target is me, and taking Mr. Wolverine is just a ploy to draw me out. It won't kill kill him before it gets me. We still have a chance. Seeing my determination, Deathlark continued to persuade me. We don't know how many dead rotten reptiles are underground. We should unite all the monsters on the island to fight together. What you need to do now is to enhance your strength quickly by devouring. Hearing this, I immediately retorted, every minute we delay, Mr. Wolverine is in more danger. We can't afford to wait to gain strength through devouring. We need to go and save Mr. Wolverine now. I summoned Little Coin and added all my evolution points to my height, growing another 5 meters. Seeing this, Sidon was puzzled. This thunder dragon has grown taller again. Really interesting. Even so, Bird's sister still stood in front of me. Even if you've grown taller, what of it? In front of the king of the dead rotten reptiles, you're still nothing. You can't compete with it. At that moment, I picked up a corpse of a dead rotten reptiles from under my feet and started chewing it. No worries, there are many dead rotten reptiles underground. I'll just eat my way through. Seeing my extreme behavior, Sidon and others turned pale, their faces full of disgust. Damn, you actually eat corpses. You really are hardcore. But I didn't care about their reactions and turned to Bird's sister, saying, Bird's sister, you just suggested uniting all the monsters on the island. That's a good idea. How many dodos and tapajaras can you summon here? Bird's sister, covering her mouth, replied, probably 100 or 200. So, I asked her to summon them all. Then I turned to Ancient Ape and said, Ape sister, ask the Spiny Jackal how many of Mr. Wolverine's clansmen they can gather. After talking with the Spiny Jackal, the Ancient Ape said, Spiny Jackal and other wolves can probably gather about 100. I slapped my thigh, excited. Great, then let's move. We can gather about 300 monsters now. Next is to gather the rest of the island's monsters, I said. So, I prepared to go down into the pit with Ancient Ape to scout the way, while Bird's sister and Sidon were to gather the monsters. Hearing my plan, Bird's sister and Sidon looked at me incredulously. Us? Bird's sister, you fly fast. Take Sidon with you. And Sidon, you're under Lord Baze. You should be able to summon them easily. After hearing my explanation, both of them flatly rejected my proposal. Bird's sister thought it was suicidal for me and Ancient Ape to go alone. Sidon said, I've just come down the mountain. I don't know anyone here. Who can I convince? Just then, a squeaking sound came. I looked down to see Little Tangerine running over. While I was happy to see Little Tangerine again, it squeaked incessantly at me. After listening, I quickly waved my hands to refuse. You want to take on the task of gathering monsters? That's impossible. You will only be killed. But Little Tangerine was persistent, standing up and squeaking at me again. Seeing its determination, I no longer stopped it. Alright, but don't force yourself. If things go wrong, you must run away immediately. I turned to Bird's sister and said, see, Bird's sister, for Mr. Wolverine's sake, even Little Tangerine is volunteering to convince those monsters several times, even 10 times its size. I'm only 20 meters tall, so what? This time, Bird's sister no longer stopped me. Lin Shen, I can't watch you and Ape's sister go to your deaths. If you guys want to take the risk, then I'm gonna go with you. I jumped down the pit first, followed by Sidon, Ancient Ape, and Bird's sister. Let's go. Let's give them a punch. With a bang, I landed firmly on the ground, safe and sound. Just as I was striking a pose, a slap came down on my head from Sidon. I immediately shouted at her, why do you always like stepping on people's heads? What kind of manners are those? Without looking back, Sidon said, if I were you, I'd quickly get out of that spot. As soon as she finished speaking, I saw a giant foot coming down towards me. Luckily, I reacted quickly enough to dodge, otherwise Ancient Ape would have crushed me into a pulp. Damn, Ape sister, are you trying to squash me to death? Ancient Ape, embarrassed, scratched her head. Sorry, Dragon brother, that was too fast. I can't help it. At that moment, Bird's sister gracefully landed on the ground, and seeing our goofy group, she couldn't help but curse inwardly, a bunch of idiots. We surveyed our surroundings and realized we were in a vast cave. I gestured to everyone, let's go, let's save Mr. Wolverine. As we ventured deeper into the cave, the number of monster skeletons increased and the stench of decay grew stronger. Soon, we spotted a few dead rotten reptiles taking a break in our path. Hiding behind the skeletons, I whispered to everyone, it seems we've entered the territory of the dead rotten reptiles. Who knows how many more there might be ahead. Let's sneak in quietly and try not to disturb them. Find Mr. Wolverine and get him out quickly. Everyone nodded, and we started to move. The dead rotten reptile right in front of us was barely aware of us before Ancient Ape swiftly kicked it into the afterlife. Following that, Sidon also took one down successfully, maintaining a fine tradition, picked up the crawlers from the ground and started eating. We can't waste these evolution points. Just after finishing one, I picked up another one from under Ancient Ape's foot. Seeing this, Ancient Ape frowned. Dragon brother, I squashed that one with my feet. I dismissed her with, step aside, I'm eating. Bird's sister and Sidon looked nauseated by my actions. I entered gluttony mode. Those killed by Ancient Ape, those pierced by Sidon, and those pecked to death by Death Bird all became my food. After a while, I burped contently. Sidon teased, Thunder Dragon, can you really handle it? Don't explode from overeating. While picking my teeth, I confidently responded, I'm fine. I could eat another 100 no problem. Just then, a big creature came out from the cave, looking confused at me. We were all shocked. Damn, we've been spotted. Isn't that Blade, the son of the dead rotten reptiles king? But the next second, Blade turned and started running back, making making the situation suddenly awkward. I was momentarily flustered. Why is he so cowardly this time? Is it because we outnumber him? Once I recovered, I yelled, "Catch him!" Sidon quickly took action. Don't try to escape. In an instant, several strands of energy shot from her hands, chasing Blade and turning into several hammer-wielding clones, smashing down on him. Caught off guard, Blade was knocked back without a chance to fight, his body flying back several meters. As soon as he stood up, Ancient Ape charged, aiming a punch at him. Blade jumped back to dodge Ancient Ape's blow while sweeping at her with his forelimbs. Ancient Ape, using the force dissipation technique taught by Sidon, easily dodged and counterpunched right into Blade's head, leaving him incapacitated. Seeing this, I rushed forward and started frenziedly devouring with Burst Bite. The system alerted, "You have successfully devoured Blade. Evolution points increased by 10,000. You have successfully devoured Blade. Evolution points increased by 12,000. Following the principle of beating the downed, we began a frenzied attack on Blade until he could no longer see tomorrow's sun. We were exhilaratingly happy. The feeling of a group beatdown was just too satisfying. Just then, Little Quinn appeared. "Congratulations on your first devouring of the dead rotten reptile leader Blade. Obtaining A-level skill, Dragon Scale Wheel. You can curl up your body and straight up your dorsal fin, spinning at high speed like a chainsaw cutting through everything." Hearing this, I was overjoyed and thrilled to have gained a new skill. Just then, a roar echoed through the cave, an ancient ape, Deathlark, and I immediately tensed up. It seems like the roar of the dead rotten reptile king. Have we been discovered? Suddenly, countless dead rotten reptiles rushed out of the cave, surrounding us in an instant. We're done for. The dead rotten reptiles king has noticed us. Could it be because we killed Blade, triggering some sort of blood connection? I couldn't help but feel a chill. This is so weird. The next second, a massive dead rotten reptile leader appeared. This was Poison, one of the 6 hands of the dead rotten reptile king, height 89 meters and weighing 806 tons. The last sun finally shows up. But what does this guy eat to grow so tall? Just as we looked up at this giant, a green mist suddenly drifted from under our feet. It's the mist. It's here too. I rolled up my sleeves and said to Ancient Ape and the others, "The dead rotten reptile king's 6 sons. We've already taken out 2. The remaining 4 must be here now. Guys, get ready for a group battle." Hearing this, Ancient Ape and Deathlark nodded emphatically. Poison let out a roar and charged at us, and Ancient Ape was not to be outdone, roaring back, "Dragon brother, let me handle this big guy." She clenched her fists and charged at Poison. At that moment, Deathlark took to the air. "Lin Shen, I'll handle the mist. You take care of finding the 2 sneaking in the fog." I nodded to Deathbird. "No problem." I warned by Sidon standing beside me, "You haven't fought with them before. Be very careful." My words had barely left my mouth when several dead rotten reptiles rushed out of the mist towards me. I swept them away with a dragon tail swipe. Seeing my move, Sidon teased, "Not bad, ugly dragon. After being trained by me, your tail's accuracy has improved a lot. Didn't you just swallow those worms whole before? Why aren't you eating them now?" Before she could finish, the worms I had swept away began to explode, revealing Bomb's presence. "It's a taste of their own medicine," I said. Sidon looked puzzled, clearly not understanding what was happening. I explained, "That one is Bomb. It can turn dead rotten reptiles into live bombs. I can't let them explode in my stomach." Just then, 2 poison spikes pierced Sidon's body. I was shocked. "Damn, are you kidding me?" Sidon, "You can't die this fast. You can't die. You're the assistant of the monster lord, Baze." At that moment, Sidon's voice came from behind a rock. "I'm not that easy to kill." I was furious, my eyeballs nearly popping out as I realized what we had faced was just her clone, and her real body had been hiding all along. Sidon slowly walked out from behind the rock, saying, "This is what I call being prepared." Her words had just ended when another poison spike shot towards her, instantly turning her into a puddle of snow. My jaw dropped in disbelief. Damn, it was another fake. At this moment, Sidon's clone, wielding a large hammer, appeared above Venom's shadow. "Dare to ambush me. Watch me smash you so badly." In the blink of an eye, Venom's shadow was beaten to a pulp. Seeing this, I couldn't help but sweat. Poor guy, you shouldn't have offended that macho girl. Just then, Deathlark yelled at me, "Ugly dragon." When mist turns into vapor to dodge, it stops releasing venom. I'll keep an eye on it. You and Sidon take this chance to kill Shadow and Bomb first. After saying that, she chased after the fleeing mist, fiercely pecking at the mist in front of her. Upon hearing this, electricity surged through my body. Even though I already got a skill from Bomb last time and probably won't get another, a bite still earns evolution points. So, I used Burst Bite and charged directly at Bomb. Seeing my move, cold sweat immediately appeared on Bomb's head. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Little Tangerine arrived in the territory of the hyena. At this moment, it trembled as it faced the hyena. "You little rat, daring to ask me to help fight the dead rotten reptile king. How ridiculous," the hyena sneered. "Although you carry the scent of those 2 lords, that doesn't prove you were sent by them." After saying this, it swatted Little Tangerine away with a paw. "Go away. If you were bigger, I would have eaten you up already." Little Tangerine got up from the ground, covered in wounds. This was already the 3rd beast pack I had approached, but because I was too small, no one believed me. Is it because I'm too weak? The next second, Little Tangerine's eyes hardened as it looked in a certain direction. "Dragon brother and the others are fighting a desperate battle battle against the dead rotten reptiles king for the sake of Abyss Island. I shall not flinch. Dragon brother, I will definitely gather the monsters. It sprinted off. At this moment, a Tapejara spotted Little Tangerine, exclaiming, "It's Little Tangerine, I finally found it." But when it saw the direction Little Tangerine was heading, it was shocked, then quickly turned around and flew back. No good. That direction leads to the territory of the Miasi. They are Little Tangerine's natural predators. Soon after, the Tapejara landed in a clearing. Wolf leader, there's trouble. I've found Little Tangerine, but it's heading towards the territory of the Miasis. The wolf leader was shocked upon hearing this. The Miasis are Little Tangerine's natural predators. Does it have a death wish? What's going on? The Tapejara quickly replied, "Yes, it seems it hasn't persuaded any monsters." Hearing this, the wolf leader let out a howl. Even the weak Little Tangerine is willing to risk its life for Abyss Island and for Lord Wolverine. How could we stay behind? It gave the order, "Everyone, set out. Head to the territory of the Miasis. If they dare touch a single hair on Little Tangerine, we'll destroy them." After a while, in the territory of the Miasis, Little Tangerine was frantically running through the underbrush, visibly scared. Just then, a Miasi suddenly pounced out from behind it. "Don't you try to escape after coming to my place." Then, the Miasi pinned Little Tangerine to the ground with a paw, scoffing, "Cunning rat, how dare you drag me into your fight with the king of the dead rotten reptiles." At that moment, though terrified, Little Tangerine still shouted loudly, "I understand you don't want to help, but please let me go. I still need to gather other monsters." Hearing this, the Miasi sneered disdainfully, "Ha, you think you can ask other monsters?" Just as it finished speaking, a giant white claw appeared out of nowhere and bang struck its chin. The Miasi was knocked back several meters, steadying itself before yelling, "Who is it?" When it saw the giant white wolf retracting its claw, looking down on it with disdain, and the numerous winged dragons in the sky staring at it, its fur stood on end, and it stammered, "Spiny jackals, wolves, and Tapejara. What are you guys doing here?" The wolf chief ignored it, instead bowing slightly to Little Tangerine. "Little Tangerine, please lead us to support the Thunder Dragon." Placing Little Tangerine on its head, it declared authoritatively to the Miasis, "Miasis, you have only two options. Either follow us into the war or die here." The Miasis immediately prostrated themselves in fear, tremblingly saying, "Wolf chief, we obey. We will join the fight." Meanwhile, inside the underground cavern, Poison was charging at Ancient Ape with its enormous body. Ancient Ape twirled easily, dodging its attack while mysteriously forming a yin-yang symbol in her hand. With a loud shout, she used the force of the impact to send Poison's massive body flying. On the other side, Sidon continued her relentless assault on Shadow, who had no chance to retaliate. Deathlark kept a close watch on Mist, using her wings to scatter the mist, rendering it useless. Seeing everyone's effort, I couldn't lag behind, so I spat out numerous explosive bomb and maneuvered them around Bomb. "Thought you were the only one who could explode." With a snap of my fingers, Bomb was blown away by the explosion, and the surrounding dead rotten reptiles didn't stand a chance either. Seeing Bomb's pathetic state, I couldn't help but taunt, "All your dead rotten reptiles have been cleared out by me. What are you going to use for body bombs now? How about using your own body to explode?" Enraged, Bomb gritted its teeth, and the next second it roared skyward as its body began to swell. Seeing this, I was startled. "I was just kidding. Don't take it seriously. Isn't it better to live?" But the next second, my eyes lit up, and I leaped towards it. "Fine, if you don't want to live anymore, let me grant you your wish." I then curled my body, erected my dorsal fins, and started spinning rapidly. This was the new ability I had just acquired, Dragon Scale Wheel. Bomb was shocked as I sliced through its body, splitting it in two. "This skill is awesome. I was like the Chainsaw Man." Ancient Ape was excited. I didn't expect Dragon Brother to have such a move. Deathlark and Sidon were also incredulous. He used to get beaten up in fights. Never saw him use this move. Did he just learn it? This Thunder Dragon is getting more and more interesting to me. It can even gain skills by devouring. Just then, the ground began to shake, and the dead rotten reptile king's roar came again. "It's here!" Just like when we killed Blade. It seems the dead rotten reptile king really can sense his son's deaths. This time it sounds even angrier. Is it unable to hold back anymore? The ground started to collapse, and the dead rotten reptile king's form emerged. "Damn crickets! I will kill you all. All of you. I will make you rot and die." It spewed a green toxic fog from its mouth, quickly enveloping us with green mist. "You insects dare to invade my territory. I'll make you die as miserably as Mr. Wolverine." Hearing this, we were all startled. "What did you say? What have you done to Mr. Wolverine?" As soon as I finished speaking, I was enveloped in toxic fog, and the scene before my eyes instantly changed. As the fog slowly dissipated, I found myself in a strange environment. As I looked around for Ancient Ape and the others, Mr. Wolverine's great sword appeared in the fog ahead. As the fog cleared, I saw Mr. Wolverine, impaled by the great sword, his bones exposed, clearly long dead. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and screamed in denial, "Mr. Wolverine, this can't be. This isn't real." Just then, Mr. Wolverine's body turned into golden light and slowly ascended, then surprisingly transformed into Beast Lord Baze. As I stood there dumbfounded, Baze yelled, "Thunder Dragon, wake up." Hearing this, I suddenly came to my senses, dripping with cold sweat. I glanced at Ancient Ape and the others, and found they were still lost in the illusion, all staring blankly up at the dead rotten reptile king. I wondered why I was the only one who had woken up from the illusion. At that moment, Bai Sitang's voice echoed in my mind. I possessed the power of purification bestowed by Lord Baze, which can cleanse toxic smoke. Don't move. Keep pretending to be trapped in the illusion. We'll take them by surprise and strike the dead rotten reptile king when he least expects it. I smirked to myself, looking at Ancient Ape and Deathlark's convincingly dazed expressions. I couldn't help but praise. These two are really nailing their performances. They could be leading actresses. The next second, Bai Sitang's rebuke slapped me back to reality. I purified you first. They are still in their dreams. I was momentarily speechless. Just then, the dead rotten reptile king spoke. Poison, bring Thunder Dragon to me. Hearing this, Poison approached me with a laugh. Enjoy the terrifying illusion. It then bit into my body. At that moment, electric arcs surged over me, and I suddenly activated Thorn Armor. Blue light burst forth from Poison's mouth. It screamed in agony and spat me out. The dead rotten reptile king was visibly confused. Why had this Thunder Dragon escaped the illusion so quickly? Mist and Shadow attacked me in response, but I easily dodged them. At the same time, Ancient Ape and Deathlark also broke free from the illusion and rushed over. I took advantage of Mist's confusion and leapt up again, and before Mist and Shadow could react, the two sisters pinned him to the ground. The dead rotten reptile king was shocked to see us all awake. They've all woken up. At that moment, I gathered energy and faced Poison. Watch me split you in two. I'll take advantage of your weakness. Then I leapt high, fins erect, electricity surging, and used Dragon Scale will towards Poison. Poison couldn't even scream before being bisected. Seeing Poison fall, the dead rotten reptile king roared with rage. Damn you Thunder Dragon. You've killed 4 of my sons. I will get you eroded and see how you melt into blood. It repeatedly tried to ram me with its head, but I dodged each attempt effortlessly. Temporarily stumped, it roared continuously. Suddenly, it turned its gaze towards Ancient Ape and the others behind me, beginning to gather a venom breath. The next second, it shot the venom breath towards Deathlark. I shouted, Bird Sister, watch out, and then jumped in front of her, blocking the venom breath with my body. Deathlark looked at me worriedly. Ugly Dragon, are you okay? As my body hit the ground and began to shrink, I quickly asked Bai Sitang, Macho Girl, can you purify this? As Bai Sitang and I were enveloped in golden light, the venom breath inside me was instantly cleansed. Fantastic, I exclaimed excitedly. You can purify the venom breath too. Good thing it was quick, or I might have reset to factory settings. I must have only shrunk by about 2 or 3 meters. At this time, the dead rotten reptile king was staring intently at Bai Sitang, apparently able to neutralize the venom breath. It seemed she had also cleared the toxic smoke earlier. Meanwhile, I turned my attention to the corpse of Poison. Since you want to take the life essence from me, I'll reclaim it from your son's body. So, I used Burst Bite, frantically devouring the corpse of Poison. You have successfully devoured the dead rotten reptile leader Poison. Evolution points increased by 15,000. You have successfully devoured the dead rotten reptile leader Poison. Evolution points increased by 18,000. Just then, Little Kun suddenly appeared. Congratulations on your first devouring of the dead rotten reptile leader Poison. You've obtained the S-tier skill, Thunder Rage. Hearing this news, I was overjoyed. Damn, the dead rotten reptile king's sons are really something. I've got a new skill again. At this moment, Little Kun explained, Thunder Rage significantly boosts your power. In a state of fury, both your defense and attack power increase substantially, and the attack power of all skills you use will be enhanced. It can be used once every 3 days, with each fury lasting 1 minute. After the fury state ends, you will enter a period of exhaustion for 1 hour, which can be shortened by eating. I frowned deeply at the explanation. Such a big side effect? If I can't kill the enemy during the fury state, am I just supposed to wait for death? Little Kun, you really enjoy seeing me suffering. You think I'm not miserable enough now? I glared at Little Kun. Little Kun quickly turned its head away. Don't underestimate that 1 minute. If used correctly, it can be extremely effective, catching enemies off guard for a sure kill. This is a pretend weak, strike strong tactic specifically designed for you, based on your usually underwhelming appearance. I pointed at the Little Kun. Vulnerable appearance? You need to explain this. Thinking it probably didn't have anything nice to say, I quickly added, forget it, forget it. I should have about 1 million evolution points by now, right? Let's supercharge it and scare that dead rotten reptile king to death. With a loud shout from me, my body was immediately wrapped in golden light, and I grew 10 meters taller. Just then, the dead rotten reptile king was visibly startled, and a light spot suddenly appeared on its neck. Damn bastard, what have you done? As the light grew brighter, the dead rotten reptile king began to scream in agony. What's happening to him? Did I scare him just like that? I puzzled over the scene. Little Kun brought up the panel. Mouth Agape, I've scanned that the dead rotten reptile king has your life essence energy in the middle of its neck. The life essence he took from you is stored there. Surprisingly, he hasn't absorbed your life essence. Moreover, when you used evolution points to increase your height, it resonated with the energy in your body, which is likely what's causing his pain. Hearing this, I quickly asked Little Kun, if I bite into that spot, can I reclaim my life essence? Little Kun replied, it's worth a try. I then shouted to Ancient Ape and the others, everyone, the dead rotten reptile king hasn't fully digested the life essence it took from me. I can still reclaim it and restore my previous strength. Ancient Ape, hearing this news, was overjoyed. Really? If Dragon brother can regain his strength. That would be great. Ape sister, you guys distract the other two heads. I'll attack the one in the middle, I continued. Bai Sidong said she and her clones would take care of the left side, while Ancient Ape and Deathlark would handle the right one. The dead rotten reptile king, seeing us daring to attack, roared furiously, "Losers, I will kill you all." Its three heads launched attacks at us, and we met them head-on as planned. Bai Sidong and her clones picked up hammers and began fiercely pounding on the left head. "Sisters, crash him." On the other side, Ancient Ape landed a punch on the dead rotten reptile king's head, and Deathlark pecked fiercely at its scalp. While I dodged the dead rotten reptile king's attacks, I ran towards the middle of the neck, then leaped up to the spot storing the life essence. "Dare to bite me? I'm the expert in biting," I roared, using burst bite on that spot. Just then, I heard a crack, and my teeth broke off, leaving me in excruciating pain. Clutching my sore mouth, I spun around in place. Damn it, his skin is so thick and rough. It broke my teeth. At that moment, the dead rotten reptile king glared at me furiously, then snapped at me again, which I narrowly avoided. Then Bai Sidong yelled at me, "Stupid dragon, are you done yet? I can't hold on much longer over here." Meanwhile, Ancient Ape and Deathlark were also struggling. "Ugly dragon, what are you doing? Hurry up," Deathlark shouted. "Hang in there a little longer, I'll finish it here in a minute," I responded. Just as I was about to charge again with burst bite, several poison spikes suddenly shot out from the toxic fog, hitting me before I could dodge. Simultaneously, mist appeared behind me, its sharp forelimbs slashing my back, instantly splattering blood. Seeing this, Ancient Ape and the others were shocked. "Dragon brother, ugly dragon." At that moment, the dead rotten reptile king slowly approached me, chuckling sinisterly. "Damn thunder dragon, let's see how you bounce around now." As it spoke, it opened its mouth wide and bit down on me. Blood spurted wildly, and the excruciating pain made me scream out loud. Hearing my agonizing scream, Ancient Ape yelled at the dead rotten reptile king, "Damn dead rotten reptiles king, let go of dragon brother." She immediately charged at the dead rotten reptile king. Gold slash. A loud shout startled the dead rotten reptile king. Immediately after, a blade shadow swiftly sliced across the dead rotten reptile king's neck, causing it to sweat coldly. With a crack, the crystal storing my life essence shattered. As the dead rotten reptile king roared in frustration, my life essence burst from its body and quickly gathered back into mine. My claws then rapidly grew. In the next second, I reverted back to a 100-meter giant beast. "How long do you plan on biting me? Watch me tear you apart," I roared. Seeing this, the other heads of the dead rotten reptile king opened their mouths wide and attacked me. I quickly dodged their assaults and ran towards Ancient Ape and the others. Seeing their father intimidated by my restored strength, Bomb, Shadow, and the other small crawlers quickly shielded the dead rotten reptile king behind them. Ancient Ape, seeing my restored strength, was incredibly excited. "Dragon brother, you've finally regained your strength. That's great." I ignored her and looked around for Wolverine. The one who had just acted must have been Wolverine. "Mr. Wolverine, where are you? Mr. Wolverine," I shouted loudly. Soon, Wolverine appeared on a high platform, then leapt down. "It looks like you found Lord Base. But why did you come here after being cured?" Deathlark was also happy to see Wolverine but retorted hard. "You think we wanted to come down here? It's all because of this stupid dragon. Otherwise, who would care whether you lived or died?" Ancient Ape pointed at Bai Sidong and said, "This is Bai Sidong, Mr. Wolverine. She's been specifically sent by Lord Base to help us." Bai Sidong stared at Wolverine, thinking, "A wolf that wields a blade, another interesting creature." At that moment, I curiously asked Wolverine, "You said earlier that you had a way to escape, so how did you end up trapped? What exactly happened? Weren't you captured by these creatures? And that old worm even claimed you were long gone. What exactly is going on?" I demanded. Wolverine explained, "I was severely injured and unconscious when they took me to an underground cavern. After I woke up, I managed to escape while they weren't paying attention. These past few days, I've been avoiding the worms while searching for my master's remains, but unfortunately, I only found this blade." Seeing the dejected Mr. Wolverine, my gaze towards the dead rotten reptiles. "Mr. Wolverine, now that everyone is here, let's wipe out these crawlers in one fell swoop. We can take our time searching here afterward." Hearing our conversation, the dead rotten reptiles king roared angrily, "You damned crickets, go to hell." Hearing this, we charged towards the dead rotten reptiles king. "Everyone, I'll handle the dead rotten reptiles leaders and their minions. You guys keep the dead rotten reptile king's three heads busy," I shouted. The smaller dead rotten reptiles quickly positioned themselves in front of me. "You little critters, let me show you how strong I was in my prime." I used the dragon dominance path, charging into the swarm of dead rotten reptiles, instantly sending mist and shadow flying. I started frantically devouring the dead rotten reptiles on the ground. "You have successfully devoured a dead rotten reptile. Evolution points added 700. You have successfully devoured a dead rotten reptile. Evolution points added 800. At the same time, Bai Sidong grabbed her hammer and violently smashed one of the dead rotten reptiles king's heads, while another head that tried to assist was blocked by Wolverine. Ancient Ape desperately clung to another head, and Deathlark conducted hit-and-run attacks in the air, assisting wherever needed. After devouring a few dead rotten reptiles, I felt that the evolution points were too meager, so I turned my attention to Mist and Shadow. Seeing my intent gaze, both Mist and Shadow broke into a cold sweat. The evolution points from these dead rotten reptiles are too little. Your flesh is far more valuable, I said coldly. Using the burst bite, I directly pounced toward Shadow. You have successfully devoured the dead rotten reptile leader. Shadow. Evolution points added 12,700. You have successfully devoured the dead rotten reptile leader. Shadow. Evolution points added 21,800. At that moment, the head that ancient ape was responsible for suddenly exerted force, throwing her off, and Deathlark was also forced back. The dead rotten reptile's king, furious, turned its gaze towards me. This thunder dragon didn't attack me directly, but focused on devouring my children. Perhaps it can strengthen itself through devouring. It seemed to understand something and then turned to attack me. Ancient ape hurriedly shouted, "Dragon brother, watch your back." Hearing ancient ape's warning, I leaped away, narrowly avoiding the attack, but Shadow was caught by the dead rotten reptile king. The next second, it was swallowed whole, and shortly after, Mist was devoured as well. Ancient ape and Deathlark were dumbfounded. Damn, this guy is ruthless, even eating his own sons? I saw through the dead rotten reptile king's intent. It didn't want me to devour Shadow and Mist. It seems it has realized that I can enhance my strength by devouring them. So what if it knows? I've already gained a lot of evolution points. It's just a pity that Mist didn't drop any skills. I felt a bit regretful. The smaller dead rotten reptiles retreated, suggesting the dead rotten reptile king was gearing up for a one-on-one fight. So I called to ancient ape and the others to charge at the dead rotten reptile king. Old thing, a duel? Really? We're going to gang up on you. Guys, let's all go at once. Beat the crap out of him. The dead rotten reptile king roared and charged at us. I gathered energy in my mouth and Deathlark's help took to the sky. Wolverine, ancient ape, and by Sidon all unleashed their strongest skills on the dead rotten reptile king. Gold slash. Wolverine instantly severed one of the dead rotten reptile king's heads, and my burst breath pierced through another. Ancient ape and by Sidon, the two powerhouses, slammed heavily into the dead rotten reptile king's body. With a loud boom, the massive body of the dead rotten reptile king instantly fell to the ground. Just as Wolverine and I were preparing to concentrate our energy for the final blow, the ground suddenly began to tremble violently, and the entire cavern shook intensely. What's going on? Is there an even bigger worm appearing? Don't tell me the little ones brought a bigger one. At that moment, Deathlark suddenly flapped her wings crazily and shouted at me, "Ugly dragon, get out of the way." With a slap, I was flung away by Deathlark, and at the same time, a huge mouth emerged from the ground right where I had been standing. Immediately afterward, a giant creature with green glowing eyes emerged from the earth. The system then alerted. This creature is actually the true body of the dead rotten reptile king, Xiang Lu, possessing the bloodline of Xiang Lu from the classic of mountains and seas, with a body length of 150 meters and weighing 1140 tons. I was utterly shocked by this old monster before me. I can't believe we've been fighting its tail all this time. What a deceitful creature, always hiding its true strength. This creature had been giving orders with its tail all along. At this moment, the dead rotten reptile king spoke. "I haven't shown my true form in front of humans for hundreds of years. You should feel honored to die before such an entity." After speaking, he fiercely widened his eyes and unleashed the deadly venom smoke on us. Instantly, green toxic gas spewed from his mouth, and we were swiftly enveloped in a poisonous fog. Upon contact with the toxic fog, Sidon was shocked. This time's poison smoke is much stronger than before. It's a terrifying illusion combined with poison smoke. I didn't expect even me to be affected. Cursed, my body is too weak in this form. I can't exert my full strength. It seems I must return to my true form. Just as the dead rotten reptile king was about to devour her, Sidon's body suddenly burst into light, and in the next second, she transformed into the beast Lord Baze, easily breaking the dead rotten reptile king's illusion. Seeing this, the dead rotten reptile king was also greatly shocked. "Baze, it's you. For thousands of years, you finally pluck up your courage to fight with me. I promised that Great One not to interfere, so you've been able to occupy the secret realm left by him for over 1,000 years. But now it's different. I've found a few young ones who are qualified to inherit the Great One's legacy," Baze said, then swiped his paw at us, casting holy light. "Kids, wake up. It's time to get to work." But how could the dead rotten reptile king let him do as he pleased? Taking advantage of the moment to use the death's breath on Baze, Baze used sacred protection to block death's breath while continuing to help us escape the illusion with holy light. In an instant, we all snapped back to reality. What's going on? It seemed like we fell into a terrifying illusion again. I looked up and saw Lord Baze in confrontation with the dead rotten reptile king and couldn't help but exclaim, "Lord Baze." Wolverine looked in the direction of the voice and was also surprised. Lord Baze is here too. At that moment, Deathlark realized that Sidon, who had been under her wing, was gone. "No time to answer your question. Think about how to deal with this guy. The real strength of the dead rotten reptile king is too strong. I can only just manage to restrain his venom smoke and venom breath. The rest is up to you," Baze said solemnly. "Don't worry, Lord Baze. We won't disappoint you," I said, then led Ancient Ape and the others toward the dead rotten reptile king. With Lord Baze's help, "Old bastard, your end has come." Hearing this, us. The dead rotten reptile king laughed loudly. You guys want to kill me? Baze. I will corrode them into a pool of blood right before your eyes. As he spoke, he sprayed out the death's mist at us. Instantly, the toxic fog enveloped us. The poison in the fog was intense, severely restricting our movements. It made our bodies itch unbearably and caused us to cough incessantly. Wolverine could barely hold his blade in the toxic fog, and his body started to show signs of corrosion. If this continues, we don't even need the dead rotten reptile king to act. We'll all rot to death soon. I was desperate. At that moment, Deathlark, watching her feathers fall, recalled the time she was turned bald by the poison and shouted, "Ugly dragon, I can't accept such an ugly death. I'll disperse the toxic fog. You guys take the chance to attack." After saying that, she transformed into a hurricane form, using the wind from her wings to blow away the toxic fog. But just as we got close to the dead rotten reptile king, we were repelled by an unknown force. We were unexpectedly knocked back by something unknown. As we steadied ourselves and looked toward the dead rotten reptile king, we were shocked. Is this the true face of the dead rotten reptile king? At that moment, the dead rotten reptile king revealed its full form. Not only did it have the fake bodies we had seen before, but it now also sported a pair of wings. I never thought I'd have to use my strongest form to deal with a bunch of ants. Rest assured, I'll torture you slowly to death, the dead rotten reptile king said with a cold laugh. After speaking, it stuck one of its tails into its own mouth, making a gagging sound. I was dumbfounded. What the hell is this? Sticking its tail down its throat. Is it trying to pull off some sort of stomach acid trick? The next second, the tail pulled something from its mouth. It was a great sword. Damn, this guy must be nuts, storing a sword inside its stomach. Isn't it afraid of that blade piercing its stomach? Everyone, be careful. That sword must be coated with deadly poison. I had barely finished speaking when the dead rotten reptile king swung the sword at us. Ancient Ape and I quickly jumped back to dodge the attack. The blade was not only sharp, damn, it was also corrosively potent. While I was still in shock, the dead rotten reptile king flapped its wings at us. Ancient Ape, Wolverine, and I had no choice but to make a clumsy retreat. Mr. Wolverine, you're good with blades. You handled that poisonous big sword. Ancient Ape, target its body, and I'll attack its head. Let's split up and take it down. Wolverine and Ancient Ape instantly replied, understood. Once the plan was set, Wolverine was the first to charge out, aiming directly for the tail wielding the toxic blade. The sounds of metal clashing echoed through the cavern. Taking advantage of the dead rotten reptile king being distracted by Wolverine, Ancient Ape clenched her fists and charged at the beast's body. With a loud bang, her punch landed on the dead rotten reptile king, visibly paining and angering it. Damn monkey, are you tired of living? The dead rotten reptile king bellowed, opening its vast mouth to rip Ancient Ape apart. As it was about to pounce on Ancient Ape, she dodged to the side. By then, I had positioned myself behind her, my burst breath fully charged. The timing is perfect. Die! I unleashed the burst breath towards the dead rotten reptile king's head. Sensing the danger, it quickly shielded itself with its wings, activating a defensive skill, Death Defense. My burst breath hit its wings, causing no damage, and was instead redirected upwards, striking the top of the cavern. Damn, this defense is too insane. It even blocks burst breath, I exclaimed in frustration. At the same time, Little Tangerine and the chief of the wolves led a group of monsters to the rotting grounds. Little Tangerine, are you sure it's here? Why don't we see any dead rotten reptiles? I've sneaked here before. There used to be an entrance, but I don't know why it's gone now. There are many signs of collapse here. Could it be that the worms deliberately sealed the entrance? The chief of wolves frowned and said, we've delayed a long time gathering monsters. I wonder how Dragon Brother and the others are doing now. Just then, a crackling sound came from the ground ahead, and suddenly, with a boom, a beam of light burst through the ground. That's Brother Dragon's signature move, Burst Breath. It seems they are right beneath us. Meanwhile, we are still fiercely battling the dead rotten reptiles king in the cave. Wolverine leaps high, radiating golden light, using his ultimate move, Golden Slash. But just as the Golden Slash is swung, it is blocked by the wings of the dead rotten reptiles king and sent flying toward the top of the cave. This is ridiculous. It can even block my Golden Slash with its wings. Wolverine exclaimed in shock. With a boom, Wolverine's Gold Slash also pierces the ground. Little Tangerine, you guessed right. That's Lord Wolverine's Gold Slash. It seems they are right below us, definitely fighting. We need to get there fast to help. But looking at the already collapsed ground, the chief of the wolves frowned, uncertain how to get down. At that moment, Little Tangerine called over a group of creatures skilled in digging, saying, no problem, leave the digging to us. We continue to attack the dead rotten reptiles king, but after a while, the dead rotten reptiles king roars in annoyance and releases its deadly venom smoke again. This sudden act also somewhat overwhelms Lord Baze. Damn old worm, why can it keep releasing venomous smoke? Doesn't it ever run out of energy? I can't hold on much longer. Meanwhile, things aren't looking good for Deathlark either. Damn it, how much mist does this guy have in its stomach? I can't keep this up much longer. Just then, both Ancient Ape and I are sent flying by the dead rotten reptiles king. Seeing this, Baze urgently says, I and Deathlark can't hold off his venom smoke much longer. Linshin, you guys need to hurry. We must finish this quickly. At that moment, Ancient Ape's strength was severely depleted. She lay on the ground gasping for air, and I was also breathless. After fighting for so long. This creature was still vigorous. Doesn't he ever get tired? I then glanced at Wolverine, noting that he too was nearly at his limit. If things continued like this, we would all die here. Suddenly, I had a good idea. Mr. Wolverine, you and I will distract him. Spread his wings, then I can target his weak spot. I'll handle the left side, and you take the right. Ancient Ape, upon hearing she wasn't assigned a task, quickly asked what she should do next. I looked at her with a smile. Do you remember how we dealt with Venom? You just need to use your batting skills later. After that, I unleashed countless explosive bombs at the dead rotten reptile's king. He shielded himself with his wings, unbothered by the incoming orbs, and scoffed, "Your moves are useless against me." He swung his wings, deflecting the explosive bombs in all directions. At that moment, Wolverine swiftly advanced with his sword from the other side, unleashing Gold Slash. But again it was blocked by the dead rotten reptile's king's wings. I told you, your skills are useless against me. His words were cut short as my explosive breath shot at him from another side, yet he blocked it again. Ha ha ha, still no use. The dead rotten reptile's king laughed. I quickly flicked the nearby explosive orbs towards Ancient Ape with my tail. She immediately started batting them back. Okay, I've got them. The dead rotten reptile's king, distracted by Ancient Ape's actions, completely forgot to block the explosive orbs flying straight at him. I looked at the dead rotten reptile's king and asked, "Have you ever learned about your son Venom's abilities?" Following that, I snapped my fingers. Boom! A series of explosions erupted beneath the dead rotten reptile's king. Damn crickets! The dead rotten reptile's king roared, swinging his venomous sword at me the next second. I endured the pain, gritting my teeth as I gathered another burst breath. Boom! I launched it once more at the dead rotten reptile's king. This time, he couldn't use his wings in time, and his body was solidly struck by the burst breath. As I kept up my assault, the dead rotten reptile's king's body was forcibly pushed up to the cave ceiling. However, I didn't stop. I continued the barrage until his body split in two. Boom! The massive body of the dead rotten reptile's king finally hit the ground. At this point, I was visibly thinner, nearly drained, but I still managed to stay standing. Is it over? Upon hearing this, Ancient Ape happily replied, "Dragon brother, the dead rotten reptile's king is dead. We defeated him." Deathlark was also excited. "Linshin, you did it." Hearing their words, I finally relaxed. My body immediately fell backwards, and seeing this, Ancient Ape and the others rushed over worriedly. Lord Baze immediately placed his paw on me, saying, "Lie still, don't move. Your wound is deep, and it's contaminated with corrosive poison. But don't worry, I can heal you. It just takes some time." Just then, the body of the dead rotten reptile's king began to sizzle. A second later, a blade aura quickly swept towards us. Wolverine sensed the danger and yelled, "Be careful," but the corrosively poisonous blade aura still struck him. Ancient Ape and Deathlark quickly supported Wolverine, calling out worriedly, "Mr. Wolverine, ugly wolf." Just at that moment, laughter came from behind us, and the body of the dead rotten reptile's king that I had cut open was slowly merging back together. Witnessing this eerie scene, Ancient Ape and the others exclaimed in shock, "The king of the dead rotten reptiles is coming back to life?"